Peace and welcome to the New Black Knowledge channel. Thanks all those who could join. We are back again. And before we start, I just want to say a few things. And that is this. New Black Knowledge was put together uh, to expose the great history and the African experience, not only in the Americas, but we go and delve as far as West Africa, and many of our members will go and trace our great history going back to Kemet and some even further than that. So we are designed to do just that. We're a bunch of nerds, whether good or bad. This is the intent. But the objective is to always find out the truth, no matter how it feels and what it does. We want the truth. We want the truth for the record, and no matter what. To that point, the Black conscious community online, it seems, has a infectious relationship with romanticism. And this romanticism, when in the pursuit of truth, can be blinding and binding. It could clamp you down into a tradition or a untruth that could alter or halt your progress because you are going forth with a faulty set of instructions and directions based on your romanticism. And then we create these myth stories, which leads to them becoming fables and urban legends, if you will. And these somehow get grafted into our romantic and romanticized ideas and then become staples of truth. And this is what we don't do. We want the truth and we want the records to prove it. So when we take this information and this data and we go and battle the rest of the world to show our greatness and our standing in it, we are presenting truth, not romanticism. Romanticism can always be toppled because it may not have a foundation in truth. Therefore, the foundation is shaky. And this should be understood. We need to really get into it, even if it hurts, even if it goes against what you thought was reality. For the purpose is truth. So, with that little open monologue, let's get to it. There has been a conversation which initially I thought would be healthy regarding our brother Rob Bourne and brother Tahaka Bay, who is of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then again, I don't know because there's many different Moorish factions. I don't know what he's about. And the discussion was Black nationalism and Moorish science. And I guess the underlying discussion points were to be what was best for our community. And like debates tend to do, Taharka did not stick to the subject matter. The subject matter was about just that. He did not define anything what Moorish science is about, which is now so romantic and some abstract idea based on what? Based on history? Because the Moorish science that was talked about or was not talked about that has been sprinkled all over the place is not the Moorish science that existed in West Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, and above the Sahara Africa, or in any other places that the Moors may have dominated through their 700 years of reign within certain parts of Europe. That Moorish science you speak of, Moors, is not defined there. So that is a creation of America and a creation of an individual who synthesized true facts about historical morals and to make it and craft it into a religion for a people searching for an identity. And once you understand the greater world that this came about in, the picture will be more clear. So at New Black Knowledge, what we have done in that regard is try to define and outline the era so people can understand how these organizations that we hold on to came into existence. These are organizations that are products of the Great Migration. The Great Migration is an experience when African Americans are leaving the South and other points where they were in pursuit of a dream and a different reality and hope within the North. And this brought with them concepts of shedding who there were or their slave or enslaved histories. Why? Because in the greater world, they saw that people who did not have this enslaved brand on them were being treated different. This goes for, in many cases, Caribbean people who were coming over, people from the continent of Africa, of course, the other European nations that were coming over, even into certain degrees, Native Americans. So what did the product of this enslaved African do on his progress of transforming from the South to the North? He transformed himself as well. One way
Into a new being.
Right. One way we can look at this is if you go and look at our presentation on Black No More, you will understand that this era is where skin lightening and hair straightening really took prominence. And you can see Annie Malone and Madam C.J. Walker and all this conking and all this stuff going on, and skin bleaching, hoping that you would appear more European. And then you have a concept with Booker T as well, Booker T. Washington, of creating a new Negro. And this new Negro was to shed that slave past and be a more refined and defined representation of what a Negro is. This is when the era when they start to capitalize the N in Negro. Also, with that said, you have the emergence of these mystical origins and spiritual sects that emerge to give Black folks some now knowledge of this mystical past that did not include the enslavement of you within America. That was just a blip because you were now from these distant lands of Arabia, Levant, or wherever the heck it is. That's what was going on during this great migration. This is all setting up a premise so you get a foundation of the era that you're dealing with. And within that, you had a good slew of hucksters and finessers and all those who took advantage of the fact that Black folks were going through this identity shift and, in some cases, this identity crisis. And so we wanted to bring those forward. This is also the era where you see the emergence of the figures we speak of, like Arturo Schomburg or J.A. Rogers or even Du Bois of a Marcus Garvey. It's no coincidence that these are all occurring around the same era. This little talk here is for historical purposes, so you can take this information and pursue it if you choose to get a greater understanding of where the organizations that we speak of today come about. So with that said, one of the individuals who comes up during this period is a man that is known as Noble Drew Ali, right? And Noble Drew Ali, as we know, creates this organization, the Moorish Science Temple of America. And this Moorish Science Temple is now telling people that their nationality is that of a Moorish American and they come from Morocco or what have you. These are the same people that you see now taking this mystical origin that comes out of nowhere, a romanticized notion of your experience, and dressing it up in turbans and fezzes and pharaoh head garments and what have you, and take on different names like El or Bey as the extension of your name. This is not new. This particular shtick was done prior to that, where people were changing their names and had this mystical origin and so forth and so on, and it was done. One of the orders is the Star Order of Ethiopia. At one point, we will get to that, but we're going to deal with this. And we're going to now bring to you, those who are tuning in, something that you have never seen before. This has nothing to do with somebody's postcards or what have you. We're going to take a look at before he was noble. Who was this person that we call Noble Drew Ali? For it seems, in fact, there was no clarity on where he was born, what he did, or anything of that. It may be North Carolina, it may be Egypt, it may be Virginia, his name may be Bob, it may be Timothy, it may be Thomas, it may be Frank. what do we have to go on? We can only go on the historical records. We can only go on the documentations of what we have, right? And now I know amongst the clique of Moors, there is one guy who calls himself Lord Abba, who has done research in this area. He's aware of the sources. In fact, like he likes to say, he's actually quoted in some of this materials. But in all the searching and all the stuff online, we got something you ain't never seen before. We got something you researchers may have heard about, but you ain't never seen it before. Who was the guy before he was Noble Drew Ali? So what do we have? We have, right? This is what they say. He had a Canaanite temple in Newark. Is that right?
Allegedly.
Is that right? That's alleged. Now, let me back up and say one thing. Before we put some information out there, I did not know, and Brother Rob Bourne did not know, and I got to give credit to, now that Lord Abba references and I saw it, Ali Muhammad, I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff, apparently had a discussion with Lord Abba about this. And that presentation and the stuff that Ali Muhammad presented was incredible as far as the documentation and the facts. I didn't even know it existed. This is something I saw 2 days ago. And I just got to give credit for that. So to say, okay, well, maybe we didn't say anything new, but the question we pose as far, and I didn't see Ali Muhammad, I don't believe, produced that original postcard and then produced the connection to those visitors lists. But I know one thing that he didn't show. I know two things that he didn't show. He spoke of before he was noble, but now, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, scholars and nerds, geeks and freaks, let's get to it. How about that? Now that you understand where we're coming from, and since we want to analyze facts and records, let's do that. So, with that said, Brother Rob Bourne and I did our homework. That's what we're supposed to do because we're nerds, we're researchers. We love it. It's not to find dirt. It's to educate our mind on these great people that we had. At the end of this, I will preface this by still saying at the beginning of this that I think Noble Drew Ali attempted to do great things for our people. And that is never to be taken away. He tried and did the best he could. But with that said, let's take a closer look at Noble Drew. Let's take a look at the guy who we mostly know as Noble Drew Ali. So, peace, Brother James Morgan. Buckle up for this one. So, Brother Rob Bourne and I did some homework, and we wanted to know who has extended the research to really see who this brother was and where did he get these great ideas from, and when did he go to Egypt? Now, we've already shown, and it's been put out there, that he was in Newark and he was an Egyptian adept. Why do I say that? It's because there was a picture. I'll try to pull it up. We can find it. But I think a lot of people at this point have seen the image of Timothy Drew, the Egyptian adept. Brother Rob Bourne and I, once again, then went to do further research on something to investigate. Well, who is he during this time in Newark? Newark is not Paducah that doesn't keep records. Who was he? And so we went to the foundation and the people who would know so we can get the answer. And I'm going to go as far as this and begin to show the screen so you can see that this ain't no smoke and mirrors, what you about to see that you ain't never seen before. So here is the screen that is shared. Here is my email here. The subject, as can be seen, is one Timothy question mark Thomas Drew. This communication is between us and the Newark Public Library, who would contain the records. Let's see their response before we get to the actual documents that you ain't never seen before. So the library writes, I found the 2 articles you mentioned over the phone. Obviously, we knew about the articles, as well as another that appeared on July 19th when Drew was acquitted. Acquitted of what? We shall see. The Newark Evening News referred to him as Thomas, not Timothy. There goes our first one. Was his name Thomas? Was his name Timothy? Was his name Drew? What was it? Let's see what the records say. So we'll go down further. As you can see, we went and we paid for it. And what did we get? Let's take a look. I'm going to make this big and we're going to read through the article. This, so all of those date hounds and wanting to know and about your leader can be found in the June 27th, 1916 issue of the Newark Evening News about one Timothy Thomas Drew. Can this be seen? Can this be seen?
Yeah, it can be seen. And don't
We're
forget
going to
what
read this together. We're going to read this together. The headline says, could Ben Bars still sat in jail? Egyptian adept student is finally released by Judge Pilgrim, but on bail of $1,700. Buckle up, folks. You wanted the MBK way, you're going to get it the MBK way. Primaries, not our words, but I'm going to take my time with this one. Because in this article are the words of Mr. Drew, and we're going to find out about him. So, Dr. quote unquote, quotes added by me, Thomas Drew's miracles are many. Let's go. Dr. Thomas Drew, advertising as an Egyptian adept student who has been performing miracles in his mysterious chamber in an attic room at 22 School Street for several weeks, sat most of this morning in a cell in the 4th precinct. This is before he was noble. Lockup, and wondered how he could effect an escape. Of course, he has twisted and broken such bars with one hand, has shattered great iron locks, and has brushed away handcuffs with only a smile and a muscle twitch. But they were his own bars, locks, and handcuffs. This guy, Dr. Thomas Drew, the Egyptian adept, was a fake magician.
Yo, Danny, I put the Professor Drew picture there just so people that never seen it before.
So we'll get to that. We're gonna read the article because people have seen that picture before. People ain't never seen this. Never. Never. Shall I continue? Y'all want me to continue? Put some ones in there just because I like seeing it. Welcome, Bullets, Gotti, and everybody else. It's about to get real. Y'all done tuned into the right one. Y'all done ask for the right ones. Not our words, their words. All right, let me continue about Dr. Thomas Drew, the Egyptian adder. I was just kidding with the ones, y'all. I just wanted to do that one time. Y'all can stop. It was a joke. All right. The professor was also noticeably worried over a bail of $1,700, which had been fixed by Judge Pilgrim to injure his appearance before the grand jury when he is wanted to answer two charges. One is for pretending powers of clairvoyance, and the other accuses him of what? Selling medicine without a license. Do these tactics sound familiar to people in 2019? Your conscious them? So he is in court and in jail for, let's keep track now, pretending powers of clairvoyance. So he was a magician who was going around with the power of clairvoyance. Let's read further about Dr. Drew. And the other accuses him of selling medicine without a license. That is called patent medicines, and those were in the medicine show, which we talked about in our Black Magic, Black Power. Noble Drew Ali, the ad that you see where he is escaping from ropes like Jesus, was also slinging medicines later, so he kept it up. It was a medicine show. And magicians and medicine shows go hand in hand. I repeat, all you need to do is go back and watch The Wizard of Oz and look at the guy who came through town. He had on a turban and he was selling miracle elixirs. He also ended up being a wizard. Is Noble Drew Ali the wizard? Let's continue on to find out. That guy, y'all remember the scene? The guy came through, he had a turban, he had some cape on, and he had some crystal ball, right? Let's read on. Information gathered by Detective Schrader and Bauman of headquarters shows that the professor had done a land office business in medicine and was waging a campaign to obliterate all illness from his neighborhood. Sounds quote unquote noble, right? He had also given some very remarkable advice regarding prospective marriages, investments, and whatnot. All right. Listen closely. Let's get a visual picture of how Dr. Thomas Drew, the Egyptian adept, medicine man, magician, was looking before he was noble. Attired in a loosely fitting, multicolored gown and with a brilliant purple hood covering his head. Not attired in fez or turban or anything like that. Before he was noble, his shtick was, once again, attired in a loosely fitting, multicolored gown and with a brilliant purple hood covering his head. Y'all ever remember how the Undertaker used to come to the ring? Picture that. Y'all remember how the wizard looked in a wizard? Picture that. Y'all old enough to remember Dungeons and Dragons? Picture that. This is before he was noble. Shall I continue? Let's do that. Professor Drew, who is an East Indian? That's what it says, with Virginia as his birthplace. I thought he was born in North Carolina. Virginia will be important. Please remind me, Alan, so I can get to what was going on in Virginia.
Got you.
In Virginia, East Indian with Virginia as his birthplace. Virginia told of his wonderful second sight powers last night when he was visited by detectives. He advised Schrader to invest his $1 million as planned and said he would be repaid threefold. Let's go further. It cost Schrader $1 for the information. Despite, we'll look at the business card later, the announcement on Drew's cards that he operated gratis, which means free or no cost. So a marked bill was given him. And later, Schrader and Mrs. Hughes, a police woman, acted as his wife, revisited the mysterious chamber and had the professor tell again of his marvelous powers that, alas, that also, cost $1. So he had to pay for it. The marked bill was given to change for a $2 note. Let's keep going and let's see what the guy with the purple hood and the gown was also doing. With that evidence, the detectives placed the professor under arrest and took him to the 4th precinct with all his paraphernalia and medicine. After being placed in the cell, the prisoner said he was a finished scholar in the art of breaking through bars and didn't really expect to spend the entire night in the lockup. This gentleman, who they took in wearing a gown and a purple cape, who said he had the power of clairvoyance, is now, said he was an Egyptian adept, is now sitting in the cell telling people that he could break through the bars and he wouldn't be in jail all night. Let's see if he did that. Of course, the professor had a lot of other really clever tricks that he wouldn't do for the lone $1, but other visitors to the mysterious chamber had seen it all. Like what? For instance, when dinner time grew near, the professor enjoyed a meal of 8 penny nails, eating nails in a jail cell, if his audience was sporty enough to pay for the iron. Then he resorted to miraculous powers of healing to make indigestion impossible. Scores of children in the neighborhood of Newark, it is said, witnessed the nail meals of the professor. So, Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept with the miracle medicine and magician who walks around the hood and a cape and a hood for children, would eat nails and bend bars. Let's see what else. He was 4-hour day. Right? The professor worked only several hours each day. The 2 hours preceding noon and from 6 to 8 o'clock at night. He ate the nails during the twilight hours before he was noble. Professor Drew said he learned. All right, folks, this is where we pause. This is where this the part, Alan. It's a couple parts and we get into it. I need everybody to pay even more attention because I believe we're going to get to it soon. Let's see where all this magic comes from. Professor Drew said he learned his work in that great country of India. I thought he went to Egypt. Oh, so now Professor Drew went to India and later went to Egypt too? Did he learn the powers from India or did he learn them from Egypt? When did he go to India and when did he go to Egypt? Let's continue. And was able to cure aches, pains, fevers, consumptions, dyspepsia, convulsions, lumbago, heart disease, indigestion, neuralgia, paralysis, rheumatism, nervousness, bronchitis, asthma, fits, deafness, and blindness. Professor Drew, the magician nail eater, Egyptian adept, also could cure deafness and blindness and heart disease before he was noble. Let's continue on. After making it possible for the local health department to cease business, the professor had contemplated chasing over to London to open the eyes of the blinded soldiers. Oh, yes, he could do that, for he had some wonderful experience in India amongst the soldiers. When did he go to India? Let's continue. The most expensive miracle that the professor performed was the ejection of all evil spirits and influence. Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept magician who ate nails and cured heart disease, blindness, and deafness, also was an exorcist. Not my words, his words to the detectives. I'll read it again. The most expensive, because you had to pay for this miracle that the professor performed, was the ejection of all evil spirits and influences, thereby making it possible for one to enjoy a night of perfect sleep. Newarkers, nowhere appealed for such aid, however. Thank goodness. It says no Newarkers appeared for such aid. So nobody went to him for that. Maybe that's why he left Newark. Let's continue. Hundreds of persons have been advised by the professor, according to the police, and an investigation is still being conducted with a hope of obtaining some accurate information regarding the size of his clientele. We're going to pause right there for a second. That's the first. You ain't never seen that before. And there's more. Before he was noble. So in addition now to, can you provide the list from the prison showing him ever going to see Garvey at the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary, Mr. Tahaga Bay? And in addition, providing any evidence of Garvey ever mentioning Noble Drew Ali, Mr. Tahaga Bay, can you now confirm that Noble Drew Ali was a nail-eating magician who could cure blindness, deafness, while being an exorcist and taking a trip to India as an Egyptian adept? You know you done messed up now, right? Oh, and excuse me, could you don the cape, gown, and hood while you present this evidence to us? Oh, and can you explain the Virginia birth? Because I'm sure your partner, Laura Alba, has seen that in some of the writings. If you don't want it, I'll help you out. One of them is called Before the Fez. There's no secrets here. We've looked through all the material. People who are listening can probably Google Before the Fez and see some of this information. Shall we continue on? Let's go see. This is that same article that has just been blown up. Let's read the next one. Together, so you see it's no sleight of hand. Let's find out more.
Also, could we tell them that in that census, how many people was named Mr. Drew?
Yeah, we got all that. That's why it's going to be provided so they can see, so they can go to see where the Virginia birth comes from. We ain't hiding nothing. Everybody's gonna come to their own conclusion. This ain't no gotcha moments. But now, what we gonna do, what you ain't never seen before, is continue to read when he was in Newark and before he was noble, who he was. You heard about it, but you ain't seen it. So let's find out. So now we got him in jail. What happens? Did he get knocked? Did he get locked up? Let's see. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? We'll continue just as soon as I find it. Okay, I gotta go back for a second. Voodoo. Wait a minute. Hold on. We're not gonna. I know he ain't involved in voodoo and exorcism and curing deafness and blindness.
Oh, yes, he is. That's the one.
I know that ain't right. I know I ain't read that right. Voodoo. No, he not. Hold on. I'm just trying to find it on the page so I can blow it up so we can read it together once again. Because I have the bigger article, as you can see. I'm just trying to find where the heck is it on this page. Otherwise, we got, oh, there it is. I see Drew. Popped up right there. There it is, folks. See if how big can I make that? Let me scroll it on over here. Let's scroll it on over here. Look at that. Let's read this together, folks. This is from, I'm sorry, I apologize. This is from for all those wanted, the Monday, July 17th, 1916 issue of the Newark Evening News. I repeat, for the Moors who want it, it is the Newark Evening News, Monday, July 17th, 1916, as people can see. So let's find out now what happened to this Professor Drew. Okay, let's see. Charm of voodoo is Drew's hoodoo. I need everyone to pay full attention to what you're about to see. Full attention. Court gazing in crystal ball sees man guilty of practicing witchcraft. Could cure paralysis overnight. This ought to be good. Gazing into a crystal mounted on black velvet, Judge Osborne today in the Court of Special Sessions found that Thomas Drew, not Timothy, voodoo doctor, was guilty of practicing medicine without a license and with dealing in witchcraft. I don't know. I don't see nobody jumping off a roof yet. Let me repeat that. Maybe I ain't hear me. Clear my throat. Charm of voodoo is Drew's hoodoo. Court gazing in crystal ball sees man guilty of practicing witchcraft. Could cure paralysis overnight. Let me start again. Gazing into a crystal mounted on black velvet, Judge Osborne today in the Court of Special Sessions found that Thomas Drew, voodoo doctor, was guilty of practicing medicine without a license and with dealing in witchcraft. The finding of the court proved the utter uselessness of magnetic influence and mesmeric science in the dignified atmosphere of a courtroom. Useless magnetic science? Mesmeric science, magnetic influence? The charges against Drew were based on 2 visits made to him, which we saw in the other, to his occult offices. at 22 School Street, June 26 by detectives from Chief Logg's office. But the real cause of his trouble was a brainstorm that attacked him several years ago in Basking Ridge, which is another part of New Jersey. Previous to that, Drew was an untamed spirit that jails, straitjackets, or handcuffs could not hold. Eating 10 penny nails. Okay, if it's old news to Harker Bay, I will put the link in the chat, brother. I want you to explain the crystal ball. You ain't never seen this, bro. Eating 10 penny nails was Chuck, because we're going to get to where your nobleness got his source from, got his power from. I'm going to show y'all what you're following. Eating 10 penny nails was child's play, and even more remarkable feat were performed with ease. Drew admitted all this with becoming modesty. He explained that much of his ability had been zapped by the brainstorm when the court wondered how the county jail had held the man for 16 days. He told them his ability got zapped. He told the police he couldn't get out of the jail because his ability got zapped from a brainstorm. Let me continue on. Drew didn't take all the credit for his wonderful gifts. I need everyone listening to Harker Bay, baby from Cash Money, every baby, and Ali you could find to hear this next paragraph. Drew didn't take all the credit for his wonderful gifts. So where did he get them from? He said he had been born with the power, fine, and has since developed it by correspondence courses. I'll read it again. Drew didn't take all the credit for his wonderful gifts. He said he had been born with the power and had since developed it by correspondence courses, which we'll examine. What could they have been? Brother Rob Warren, please don't let me forget to go to Virginia, where he was at. Remember, he's dealing with magnetism, clairvoyance, people, and now he is admitting that he got this from correspondence courses and wrapped this all up in some Indian and Egyptian stuff. Let's continue further because we're going to finally get to who is your leader. He said he had been born with the power and had since developed it by correspondence courses. Want some more proof, y'all? He was also the possessor, which means he had, of a book which contained the wisdom of Indian yogis and men of magic.
18 missing years of Jesus the Christ.
He was also the possessor, which means he had in his possession a book which contained the wisdom of Indian yogis and men of magic. Thought he went to Egypt. Thought he was so divinely inspired. He sent away for a correspondence course, bruh. Remember, we said magnetism, clairvoyance, all this Indian, Egyptian, Blavatsky stuff mixed in. Does that now explains, which I haven't mentioned, all of that unto thee I grant and all that stuff that was supposedly he jacked for the Circle 7? I'm not even getting into that one. Now the audience can figure out where it came from. Drew, I'm not going to read it again. He was also the possessor of a book which contained the wisdom of Indian yogis and men of magic. Judge Osborne suggested that this volume would be a valuable addition to the records of the Free Public Library. No disposition was made of the glass ball which Drew used to straighten his eyes since the brainstorm. That glass ball, fat folks, is the crystal ball that the judge was looking at on his desk. Why did Timothy Drew, the Egyptian adept nail eater who walked around bending bars with a gown and a hood on, also have a crystal ball? A crystal ball? Was it for the exorcisms? Was it to cure the deafness or the blindness? A crystal ball? Man, if you don't stop playing, remember, this ain't none of my words, my brother's words, or anybody who has anything against the Noble Drawley. This is his words, what he did while in court and the newspapers. A crystal ball? All right. Drew had told them, oh, excuse me. Wait, hold on. Let me back up. No disposition was made of the glass ball which Drew used to straighten his eyes since the brainstorm. So he used his crystal ball to get his this magical powers back after they had been taken from him while he was in jail due to this brainstorm. Do you understand what he's telling these people in the courtroom? Detectives Bauman and Schrader and police matron Mrs. Elizabeth Hughes said the crystal ball had been used to look into the future when they called at the doctor's office to obtain advice on a real estate deal. Did we just make up him using the crystal ball? Detectives Bauman and Schrader and police matron Mrs. Elizabeth Hughes said the crystal ball had been used to look into the future when they called at the quote unquote doctor's office to obtain advice on a real estate deal. Once again, not our words, their words. So you go to see him and he's looking with the hood on, purple hood, and his crystal ball, and you pay $1 and he's predicting your future? You pay another $1 here, you get an exorcism. You pay another $1, you get some medicine. If you pay another $1, he'll eat some nails for you. How noble are these actions? How noble are these actions? Quite magical. This man could cure deafness and blindness, he said, along with heart disease.
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Even that's perfect. Even Alexa says she's not sure about that. That is perfect. I did not even time that. Yo, come on, come on. And you sit up here worrying about Dr. Sebi. Did he cure AIDS? Man, before you get to worry about Dr. Sebi cure AIDS, you need to go back into 1916 and find out how did this guy cure heart disease, blindness, deafness, and perform exorcisms, all while eating nails. All right, so let's finish this article. Drew had told them after consulting his glass ball, Drew had told them after consulting his glass ball, Drew had told them after consulting his glass ball that the investment was a good one, particularly if they used the other fellow's money. Other valuable items of information made known by Drew were that infantile paralysis took from 2 to 3 years to develop, and that wait, Alan, go on mute for a second because this needs to be heard. Because they may need to halt going at Dr. Sebi for a minute and find out how this guy do all this. Other valuable items of information made known by Drew were that infantile paralysis took from 2 to 3 years to develop, and that he could cure this. He was going around Newark, the black folks telling them he could cure their baby's paralysis. took from 2 to 3 years to develop, and that he could cure this and other diseases overnight. Can you imagine some poor black woman taking a paralyzed baby to him, and he telling him, let me look at my crystal ball and sprinkle this over you, and the baby be cured overnight. Not our words, his words. His method, he explained to the court, this is important to remember, was passing the magnetic, there's that word again, influences in his blood in the afflicted part, thereby killing the germs. He was going to transfer the magnetism in his blood to cure paralysis in babies. And this is what he told black families um, in Newark in 1916 and prior. Huh? Not our words, not us making up something. That's your God. That's your prophet. How noble are these actions?
Danny, let me know when you finish with that one.
Well, you got another one? This the last
No,
one?
no, no, no. Oh, okay, because we want to make it clear on and add the information to the other information. So go in the back chat and read that first paragraph with his picture on it, and then
Hold
we'll
on.
understand
Okay,
how this
hold on. You're
evolves.
right, right. Okay, so now let me just finish this last of what you ain't never seen before, so y'all can stop pump faking. Because I asked the dude, the librarian, the only people they got it, and nobody ever requested it before. So stop it. There's only one other person requested it. Actually, is referred to, and that's a reference to another reference that somebody had went to Newark Public Library. Yes, I give it out. So if those who want to go and find it more than otherwise can go and do it, because it might be something that you want to have the actual primaries for your records. This ain't about just hoarding no information for gotchas. This may help with your history, whether you like it or not. We just want the truth. So let me finish this last paragraph. Other valuable items of information made known by Drew were that infantile paralysis took from 2 to 3 years to develop, and that he could cure this and other diseases overnight. His method, he explained to the court, was passing the magnetic influences in his blood to the afflicted part, thereby killing the germs. It had always been easy for him to do, he said, until recently, when he attempted to cure an inmate at the jail of a chronic headache to prove his power in jail, physician Edward W. Markinen. You need to get a knowledge chamber, asking knowledge. Okay, there you go. So here we go. There goes the article. So we have now things on the table. So Brother Allen wanted me to go and pull over. I don't see it in the back chat. What you talking about?
I put it in the chat we on now.
Okay. Let me go back. So let me stop sharing for 1 second, folks, and then when we continue,
So we can see the evolution to show and prove the stuff that you already knew. We now added a foundation to it.
how you put it in
Now,
the right here? Where? How can I see
all
it?
right. So I'm gonna put it in our chat then,
Yeah,
so you
put it
can
on.
see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it right here, and then after you read that one,
I'm gonna.
then
No. Don't let me forget where he got his information
Virginia.
from.
Oh yeah. The correspondence course. After we get to that,
I
let's do
told
this one.
people to remember clairvoyance and magnetism. He said he got it from a correspondence clause. We're gonna see who is the originator. Okay, so
Yeah, got
what
it.
we're gonna show is this. We're gonna show you now. This should make more sense to the people who have seen it before, and that is this right here. So now, people who have seen this before, does this not make more sense to you? Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept student, offers hours 10 to 12 a.m. Remember we said 2 hours each, 6 to 8 a.m. I am a Muslim. Professor Drew is a man who was born with divine power, crystal balls, will cure deafness, eat nails. He was taught the adepts by the adepts of Egypt. I have the secret of destroying the germs of tuberculosis and cancer of the lungs. Noble Drew Ali could cure cancer in 30 days. Back in 1916, 15. Your lungs can whatever can something and a very strict examination that the germs are entirely destroyed. Also destroy the germs of eating cancer, gout, rheumatism, lumbago, all the stuff that he went to court for. Heart, so don't tell me this ain't him. That's him. Heart trouble, female diseases, and serious infections of the body. Call at once, adults and children, and be relieved of your suffering. If you have any doubt about my treatments, you can be healed before a dollar is paid. But he was charging the people a dollar. False advertising, lying as well. Did that was happening? In here it says you can be healed before a dollar is paid. We just read in the court he was charging people a dollar. Which one is it? Somebody pulled a flim flam? Says also these divine treatments there has been great success of, I'm sorry, I can't make it out. This is a bad copy. Something and long-standing disease, which have been around 2 or 3 days, also give divine instructions and interpret the Bible from Genesis to Revelations. Also have 18 years of Christ's life. Who has the 18 years of Christ's life? Was the Ahmadiyya sect around?
Yep, the Indians.
Does the Indian Ahmadiyya sect talk about these missing years of Jesus' life? Hmm. That's one place. So, holy something, 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 know more about the power of Jesus Christ. So that's him.
All right, and we gotta put the last one in there, and
And
just
then we'll
read
put the last one.
bold letters, and then we go back to Virginia and the correspondence course.
There's the last one. Now, does this make more sense when later this guy does this medicine show? This what you're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. With all this, do you get it now? This was a medicine show that he was performing. Don't miss the great Moorish drama. Come ye everyone and see the seventh wonder of the world. It's like Houdini advertisement. The great Moorish drama with constituents. Events in the last days amongst the inhabitants of North America. In this Moorish drama, the need of a nationality will be made known to you through the acts of men, women, and children. There will be great lectures on this nationalistic topic by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and many of the sheikhs of the grand body of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. You will also hear one of the greatest Moorish female songstresses of the day, Madame Lomax Bey. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali will be bound with several yards of rope. Remember, Thomas Drew was being bound with cuffs and escaping him and all that magic tricks. So now the Prophet Noble Drew Ali will be bound with several yards of rope as Jesus was bound in the temple at Jerusalem and escaped before the authorities could take charge of him. So will the Prophet Drew Ali perform the same act, being bound by anyone in the audience and will escape in a few seconds. Magic show, medicine show, wrapped in Indian Egyptian Blavatskyism and DeLawrenceism. He also will heal many in the audience. Here goes that healing again. He also will heal many in the audience without touching them. He got to throw this again, free of charge. Remember, that was the setup 15 years prior in Newark, New Jersey, free of charge. Then you find out you got to pay $1. Stand in front of their seats, manifesting his divine power. Does this document make sense now? Does this document make sense now? Now that you know who Thomas Drew is, and now that you know that Thomas Drew is really later becomes Noble Drew Ali. So there was a question of,
Virginia, don't forget.
where, that's where I'm going right now, of where he could have gotten his information that he admitted to himself from. Let's type correspondence in my clippings and see what we come up with. Look what we have here. A correspondence college. Did Noble Drew, did they say that his paperwork said he was from Virginia? Yes, it did. Let's read what was in the black newspaper, the Richmond Planet, in Virginia around the same time. Let's see what we have here, folks. Since he of correspondence magic, let's read together. I told people to remember magnetism and clairvoyance and all the stuff that he was doing. And he got it from a correspondence course. Let's take a look, y'all. This is really, really it. Game over. This is who your teacher is. Evil influences removed. Did Thomas Drew not say he could do exorcisms? This is 1904. Pay attention, folks. The greatest workers and mediums in the world, Doctors T.H. and Cornelia White, will lift all troubles and worry from you. Sound familiar? These two powerful mediums had 20 years of practical experience in white and black art, spiritualism, hypnotism, mental, and, God darn it, we need to get this bigger. What they have? Magnetic healing. And personal magnetism. They have traveled all over the world gathering knowledge. Sound familiar? Magnetic healing, hypnotism, spiritualism. This is way before. This is 1904. This is a Richmond Planet, a black newspaper, and it said the boy was from Virginia, not from no North Carolina, or may have spent time in both. Means he has access to the black newspapers because it's probably in the black section of town where he was at. And in that, he admitted correspondence courses, and his correspondence courses match up exactly with the ads that was in the black newspapers. This is who your teacher is. Your teacher is Doctors T.H. and Cornelia White, because this is where your master teacher sent the way to get his correspondence course from that he admitted to that we just read. Let's keep going. Personal, they have traveled all over the world, sound familiar, gathering knowledge, and have worked for and read the lives of all the greatest men and women in the world. They have helped thousands to fame and fortune, and now they want to help you. They possess the only known secret of the great charm of mysteries. And in order to introduce the wonderful work of their correspondence college of science, Correspondence College of Science. Correspondence, he said he took a correspondence course. Science is the name he threw all in it. Is it not? Game over. They will give everyone who becomes a student of their college one of these powerful secret charms of mysteries absolutely free. This is worth thousands of dollars to you as it will bring you health, wealth, happiness, and power. Their College of Science, he ain't go no damn Egypt and India. He all the way and went to college online. It's the first version of online. Not only is he the first clout chaser, he's the first getting his online degree. And spooky. Their College of Science teaches you in a simple manner how to remove all evil from yourself. Was he not an exorcist or others? How to cure all natural or unnatural diseases. Couldn't he do that? He teaches you how to hypnotize. Wasn't he hypnotizing anyone? Make them do as you say. Was he not hypnotizing Negroes into believing your hokey pokey stuff he was pulling on you? It teaches you how to read anyone's life accurately from the cradle to the grave. It teaches, once again, personal magnetism. It teaches you how to unite the separated. It teaches you how to locate buried treasures. Write to us at once for full participation of our College of Science correspondence course, and then become a student so that you can receive one of these great charms of mysteries. As the other people say, dagger. Done. Done. You want to be Noble Drew Ali? You should write to Doctors T.H. and Cornelia White. Where is K Shine when you need him? This is the college that your God graduated from, a correspondence college. Did I make it up? Once again, no. He said he got his information. Once again, let's go to the article. Where did he get his information from? Don't ever put MBK name and stuff again, buddy. Ever.
Told you that from the jump, man. We try to be
Ever.
nice to you, man. We try to build and be like, we don't do this type of stuff. Now, you didn't open the floodgates. Oh, Danny, don't forget, we got to talk about Ethiopia.
No, we get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I want
Let's
this
finish.
to sink in.
Yeah.
I want this to sink in. Don't ever do that. Our job is not to be here attacking all of these organizations. That's not what we do. Look through our channel. We have discussions about stuff. We ain't the banging channel. We ain't the debating you and tearing down your beliefs. We understand where it comes from. We get it. You were trying to do what you could for your people, but don't you ever try to come over here like we not thorough with this, or we don't know what's really going on. Stay in your religious lane playing them religious games, your mystical origins and your all that stuff. You don't really want it. It could get a lot worse. If you think this is it, you are sadly mistaken. Tried to give you one chance. Tried to give you one chance. So, like I said, Drew didn't take all the credit for his wonderful gifts. He said he had been born with the power and had since developed it by correspondence courses. He was also the possessor of a book which contained the wisdom of Indian yogis and men of magic. So we did our homework further and put the Virginia piece in and saw that, wait a minute, this is going on. And there's only two places really where he could have corresponded to. This is just one. Do you want the other one? You don't really want the other one, do you? You don't really want the other one, do you? Let me stop sharing for a second and maybe I can pull that up. You don't really want the other one, do you? You don't want the other one.
This is brought to you by Tahaka Bay and Lord Mr. Apple.
This is brought to you by the people who just want to jump out there and couldn't leave it alone. We had this information and I didn't want to do it. But since you want to go live and go back and forth, because also, and I'll let Rob Bourne address this, but you try to check the brother's character and you know that's not called for. I know for a fact what he is trying to do, and whether you want to label it black nationalism or not, it's something that you don't do. Because we, in fact, and I gave the opportunity, I said, if Tahaka Bay wants to come on and talk about the great stuff he's doing in Baltimore, then that's what it should be. That's what it's about. But now you decide to take an issue dealing with Moorish science to attack his character and his love for his people. Where they do that at? This is the problem with putting your doctrine before your people. And that's terrible. But that's what you chose to do. So now you got to explain the nail-eating, crystal ball having,
Purple hood wearing,
purple hood wearing,
clout chasing,
curer of deafness, baby paralysis, and
magic shows,
blindness.
rope trick bonding to escape artists, exorcism.
Yeah, excuse me. Don't forget exorcists. Huh? Because what I want to do, I want to get the right picture. You know, that's what I'm looking for, right? All right, fine. We're gonna play this game. Let me just show my screen, then I'll pull it up live so people see it ain't no tricks. Here's the other person that was doing correspondence courses. Choose your weapon. It is an institute that was in Chicago. It is named the DeLawrence Institute.
Did you say the Lawrence? Oh
I'll
man.
get to that. We're going to read in 1902 what you could get via correspondence from the DeLawrence Institute. Hypnotism, the wonders and possibilities of applied hypnotism, personal magnetism, occult and psychic influence, also the famous silent Hindu concentration for the induction of hypnotic sleep and the curing of diseases, taught at the DeLawrence Institute of Hypnotism and Occult Philosophy by L. W. DeLawrence, the well-known author, lecturer, demonstrator, and practitioner of medical psychology and suggestive therapeutics. Listen closely. Professor DeLawrence, who is an adept, this is 1902. Y'all think I must be making stuff up. How big can I get this? That's as big as it go. Right here. See where the mouse is going? Look at the words. This is 1902. Professor DeLawrence, who is an adept, has spent years where? In India with the Eastern adepts and yogis. Before I go any further, what did that man say? That man said Drew didn't take all the credit for his wonderful gifts. He said he had been born with the power and had since developed it by correspondence courses. He was also the possessor of a book which contained the wisdom of Indian yogis, of men of magic. Let us go back to what was going on in 1902. Professor DeLawrence, who is an adept, has spent years where? In India with the Eastern adepts and yogis. And is not to be confounded with those who are attempting to teach hypnotism and who have only a superficial knowledge of the science, or those who take your money for a mail order correspondence course, neither of whom can teach you. The Dolores Institute is the oldest and only institution of its kind in the country where the student obtains a knowledge of hypnotism and occultism as it is taught and practiced in the Orient by the Hindu adepts, who are the greatest hypnotists in the world, and was opened in Chicago by request from the many readers of Professor DeLawrence's famous work on hypnotism, Hindu magic, and occultism entitled Hypnotism and Suggestion, Medical Hypnosis, Practical Lessons in Hypnotism, and, of course, Vital Magnetism. The Book of Magical Art, Hindu Magic and Occultism, the Bible Defended, and occult interpretations of the books of the Holy Scripture. Don't make me pull up this again to show you this again, to show you that one of the things he was doing was interpreting the Bible. And I'll show you that this is 1902, and that's 10 years after. Those who are interested in these sciences are most emphatically informed and warned that in these times of humbugs, imitators, and imposters, blah, 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 blah. Right? So you can read this, and I'll read the whole thing. I don't think you want me to. Mediums, hypnosis, all bad habits cured, the same thing. This is in Chicago, and the Lawrence is huge, and this was the Institute, the Lawrence Institute. Now, why is the Lawrence important? Why? Let's see. Let's do this together. What we're going to do is go to actually L.W. DeLawrence. Watch this, folks. Let's see why this is important. Let's see what L.W. DeLawrence wrote, y'all. Let's see who offered this correspondence course that we speak of. Come on. Uh-oh. Was an American author and publisher on occult and spiritual topics. DeLawrence was born in Cleveland, yada, yada, yada. Oh, let me get this. His publishing company, DeLawrence and Scott and Spiritual Supply Mail Order Company House, was located in Chicago, Illinois. DeLawrence was a pioneer in the business of supplying magical and occult goods by mail order. And his distribution of public domain books is, hold on, Secrets of the Psalms, Powwows of the Long Lost Friend, had a great and lasting effect on the African American urban hoodoo. Let's go further. What else did he have his hand in? He is mocked and reviled among modern occultists for his plagiarism of the pictorial key to the tarot, and S.L. McGregor Mathers' The Key of Solomon. He also wrote his own works, including The Master Key, a personal development book, and he got involved in New Thought and the spiritualist movement and what have you. Now, Alan, can you speak to the doctrine a little bit and what they always claim that it is stolen from?
It's stolen from India. The secrets are held in India and Egypt.
Where did they say that portions of the Quran was taken from?
Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ on the book Until Thee I Grant.
Until the
I grant thee or something. Until I
grant?
grant. Until Thee I Grant, something like that. I
Uh-huh.
probably got it.
Was
Yeah,
this
that's it
not
right there.
distributed by DeLawrence? Was this not distributed by DeLawrence? Huh? Oh, let's go here to find out. Huh. Here's that name again. DeLawrence, Chicago. Let's type the occult gospel is what DeLawrence did. Oh, during his correspondence courses. Uh-oh. Let's see his symbolism. Can we get that bigger? Let's see if we can. Oh, let's scroll over a bit. Let's see what else this guy was doing here. Can't seem to scroll, maybe.
Yoga Publishing Society.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Look at that. Looks like the little Egyptian symbol up there to me, buddy. But we were looking for something in particular. We're not on a search. You said it was taken from Unto Thee I Grant. Let's see if that's in here. Unto. Uh-oh. Wait, excuse me. Please go on mute. Let's see what this says, since there's no magic tricks, guys. How about this guy with this correspondence course? In 1910, Reverend Drew Ali would form the Moorish Science Temple around the publication of the Circle 7 Quran, which encapsulated teachings from Levi H. Dowling's 1908 publication, The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, the anonymous Rosicrucian book Unto Thee I Grant, and he was traveling between New York and Chicago at the time. We can only imagine what other occult influences may have crept in. Huh. You know who published this book? It was DeLawrence's company. So now, when you go back and you see in 1916 in Newark, where this man, out of his own mouth, says, what? Drew didn't take all the credit for his wonderful gifts. He said he had been born with the power and had since developed it by correspondent courses. I just gave you the two biggest correspondence courses, and it matches up both of them exactly what they did. Those are your teachers. Your teachers are a husband and wife named White, and your other teacher is DeLawrence, this guy. And now, the icing on the cake. Let's see what DeLawrence looks like all dressed up in his hokey gear. Let's see. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. Game over. Let me see if I can get a bigger picture. you got the okey doke by a correspondence course thinking you got some holier than thou walking around here screaming about this. You don't sit your boy. Let's see. Search Google for this image so we can get a nice big to show the people. Let's go to all sizes. Oh, that's the only one online? I'm sorry, y'all. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Look at your man with the, crescent and moon, turban, writing books. Let's go to his website, as a matter of fact. You can do this at home. Can somebody put this in the chat for me? DeLawrenceCompany.com. Since 1892, the correspondence courses that he was offering and the magical rings and all this that Thomas Drew said he was getting his information from correspondence. Oh, yo, I know they ain't got a crystal ball up here. What is that? Oh, no. Y'all saw that. It's going to come back around because I can't click on it. I know good and goddamn well they ain't got a crystal ball in here. I know they don't. We're going to sit here and wait for it, folks. I'm going to make this look in this window right here, and a crystal ball is going to come up. I didn't plan this one. Is this where this nigga will order his crystal ball from, too? Come on. I'm not moving until this comes up. Can't be that many pictures. DeLawrence's Oriental Incense. Oh, you ain't going to come back up now because I wanted to? Anyway, folks, trust me, there's a crystal ball that's in this first one. I wonder, is that where it was ordered from? Can't click on none of this. Now, they should have a, yeah, give me the catalog products. Oh, that's that. I can't scroll. Don't make me search for DeLawrence crystal ball. I know y'all saw it. Maybe if I go back, it'll be the first one that pop up. Horus rings. But, Alan, you got anything?
Nah, man. I mean, DeLawrence, he does have an effect on multiple of these organizations at that time. I don't want to, we can throw the Hebrews in there a little
I'm
bit.
not talking about, no. I'm
Yeah,
not
we'll leave it
talking about
alone.
the Hebrews.
Leave it alone.
I'm
We'll
not
leave it
talking
alone.
about nobody else.
I mean, we will keep it on Noble Jewelry, but he has an influence on Brother Matthews with his magical diagrams. He did this already.
Listen, my brother.
But we stay
You
on
know,
Noble.
Hebrews done nothing to me. I don't know nothing about that. Ain't no Hebrews done nothing to me. So until that happens, I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
I mean, we can leave it alone. Leave it alone.
I
I'll take care of
told
that.
you go out there and start all them. I'm not doing that. I'm dealing specifically with a person who seems to have a problem and mentioning NBK out their mouth. I just want to let it be known
All right, so I guess it's link dropping time, Mr. Tahaka Bay said you in there. See, we put the link in the chat, and we
Stop
don't cut
looking.
you. We don't cut you off. We don't block you. We don't act like the phone don't work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you remember last night. But here we go. Here go the link coming in the chat for you, boy. This is what we do over here. We don't talk garbage about you. We give you the link. Speak your speech. Explain the nail eating, exorcism, ball bending, rope trick having, correspondent course yogi, divine person. You asked for this. You did this. Here go the link right here. Here go the link right here. You did this. Don't ever forget that. Clout chasing, magic man, hoodoo, voodoo, and all that other mystical stuff. Come on here and explain and show us and prove that everything that we said is not right and exact. They go to the link talker. Don't act like you ain't in the chat no more. You popping it in there again. That's 2 times. That's 3 times. That's 4 times. If you busy, I can understand that, but you ain't too busy to be typing. Link is in the chat. Link is in the chat.
Yo, I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. I'm sure you got this, brother.
Yeah. So basically, you know, this is something that we always had. We got a whole bunch of more stuff because we like to research to find out how these things come about. How do these people come up with these doctrines? Where the hell did Fraud Muhammad come from? Where he get this stuff from? Is he really a divine prophet? Is he Allah in the We do this stuff, but that's our personal thing. We don't put that stuff out there because we understand that it's not really about that. But when you start to try to assassinate the God character and start talking crazy, and then you putting all people titles in a name and putting pictures, now you gonna get the work. And this is not even it. We got a whole bunch more. That's the crazy part. This is light. This ain't even the icing on the cake.
Yo, peace.
Peace. I'm looking for a Bay, Tahaka Bay, Lord.
I'm finna send it to him on Facebook.
Lord Abba Bay. I'm looking for them people to come on. Because we put the link in the chat. You sat there and watched this information and said it was new. We ain't never seen this before or heard no one put this together like this, ever. So come on here and explain the crystal ball, fortune telling, exorcism, nail eating, purple hood wearing, crystal ball playing with, brainstorm having, prophet. We need some answers. That dude was Dr. Sebi before Dr. Sebi. I'm sorry. It's a part of the culture, man. It is what it is. I know it hurt. I know it hurt. I know it hurt. I know it hurt.
He's not coming on, bro.
I know it hurt.
This nigga Danny didn't give a damn today.
Nope. Nobody popping in the link. Nobody popping on. I guess not. I guess we can't find out. I guess we can't find out about the nail eating exorcism prophet.
He's not coming on. I told you that already.
They told you was warned in personal message, yo, don't do that, bro. You can build with them and then y'all can have y'all. They told you. They warned you. So you talking about Garvey was the forewarner. You got the forewarning from numerous people. Don't do it, son. Don't do it. And you ain't want to listen. Prophecy fulfilled. Nobuju Ali, the magician, nail eating, rope tricking, has been put on the forefront.
So, do we have anybody come in yet?
No.
Well, I need somebody. I need the proud. What Tahaka was just in here. Please tell me, how did he cure blindness and deafness? Please.
I sent them a message, Danny.
Please tell us. Do they use is Moorish Science? Now that he couldn't define it, now I have to assume is Moorish Science the Lawrencean hypnotism mixed with magnetism and the ability to eat construction site nails? I didn't think you know this. Do you
That
guys
narrow
have
easy
a
shit is
crystal
crazy.
ball that you use? I see fezzes. Where are the hoods and capes?
They wasn't
Yo, it's
doing that in
crazy.
West Africa. They was not doing that in
Is that
Morocco
Moorish
neither.
science? Should we all study Moorish science so our deaf and blind family members, we can get the science to cure blindness and
Yo,
deafness?
and what's in them bottles, man? What's the ingredients in the Moorish blood purifier? Y'all still sell that? What's in there? What's in that bottle, man?
He said nail easy.
And once again, these are not the words of MBK just trying to get some colorful language to throw darts. These are the words from the primary documents of what he said and he did before he was noble. He got his light from correspondence courses. I showed you the two biggest ones, and they match up exactly with the shtick he was doing. Now, don't make me show you the Bebe circus that was going around at the same time, and I mean BEYBEY.
Nah, put it up there. Put it up there. This is going session. Put it up there.
I'll show one. I'll show one, and I'll even do it to show you. Dude, please leave us alone. We don't want no problem. I'll say it again. We don't want no problems with none of y'all conscious stuff. That's y'all world. We don't get into that. But if you want the Truth Factory, if you want how it really happened, whether you like it or not, it even hurts us. I'll put it to you this way. Brother Rob Bond, let's be honest here. We first started building whatever, and I was saying that the church was at the center of everything. That shit was, excuse my cursing, that pissed you off, right? You didn't want to.
Hell yeah. I was arguing with you every day. Me and
Right.
that bro, that other brother was arguing with you every day about that, bro.
So I had to show
Every
and
day.
prove, right?
Every day. I was
So I
telling
had to show and prove.
I was calling you a Christian.
You was
I
calling me
said,
a Christian just like the other boys the other day calling me a Christian and a whole bit, right?
yep.
And I said, I know it hurts. I'm not a Christian, but the truth is this. It hurt me to believe it. I wanted some voodoo warriors to be at the center of it too. They wasn't. So I'm saying that to say over here, we just want the truth. So we
Yeah,
can put it
man, and that Elijah Muhammad hiding under the bed under a rug. I ain't like that.
Did I say that? It wasn't my words,
I ain't like that.
but
But
it
I had
wasn't
to
my words.
then I had to go find something. He was under the bed, but he wasn't rolled up under the rug.
He was under the bed though, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he wasn't that paper said he was in the rug.
Listen, he hiding from the police and you under the bed and the carpet is in there. You're gonna roll your punk ass up in the carpet, ain't you?
Hell yeah.
All right then. So what was I looking for? Oh, Bebe Circus. Oh, am I sharing my screen so they don't think it's no hokey doke going on here? Share screen.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right. Let's type Bay in here. My screen is sharing. Oh, around the same time, you have an Egyptian fakir. There's that word again. Doing buried alive tricks. Huh. And going at Houdini. Huh. Right around the same time. This is 1927. This is the biggest show in the country. This was David Blaine doing that buried alive thing, and also Black Herman's stick. As you can see, this is in Atlanta. 100C Egyptian Miracle Man, and he buried alive. The Bay Circus was the biggest thing, and Houdini was even getting mad because the president and everybody was going to see the Bay Circus. Not my words. Look what it says. Let me scroll on up. 100C Egyptian Miracle Man, a lot of miracles from the Egyptians. Hamid Bey thrills big crowd. People know Piedmont Park in Atlanta. That's the biggest daggone park there. And there he is, buried alive.
Is he a bay? He's a bay?
He's a Bey. And they had a whole Bay circus going around at the same time.
Denny, we forgot you forgot the Ethiopia. We gotta talk about
I
that.
ain't forget nothing.
Yeah.
They don't want it all. I need these things to be addressed. Here we go. Here's his ad right here, y'all. We're gonna look at it together. I didn't make this up. Let's see how they do. Okay. Okay. Hamid Bey. Look at him. Look at him. What is he?
Look at this.
Young and daring Egyptian miracle man. He baffles scientists, scoffs at torture, sneers at pain, controls his post, dies at will. See Hamid Bey defy death and win. Doesn't this sound like somebody else? Come see somebody else, Ali. Miracles of the Far East. See Hamid Bey buried alive on a vacant lot next to Main Motor Co. At the same time. There you go. There you go. Want some more? There's a whole lot more to the story. What I'm asking is, please deal with the questions that we ask, and leave us out your mouth here. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get a lot worse. We don't let us go back to just doing us. That was a good conversation. Let it go. Let it go. Take this as a little smack on the hand. Secrets of the magicians. There's your man. Wasn't your man eating nails and doing that? There's Hamid. There's the Bay. Right there. Same time. Same time. Garfield, you think that was hurtful? Dude, it's a lot more, bruh. I told you. You ain't never seen it before. Never. Thomas Drew's words.
Lesson number 1. Keep MBK name out your mouth. Keep it respectful, and we can build in dialogue. It don't gotta be a jihad. But you want jihad. Okay. Okay.
Uh-oh. Somebody else doing a rope trick? Uh-oh. Who's this doing a rope trick? Huh? Somebody looking like that picture that you all know of them people standing in front of the thing. And what was he doing? Rope trick. Rope trick. Let me just stop sharing before it could get real. Man. Stop playing. Stop. Since in the past 2 weeks, I had Indians jump out the foxhole and Moors. They're like, wait, we not involved in y'all little fights and things. Why try to pull us in? But if you want it, then you got it. You got it. And I mainly did this, and listen, man, y'all could take it for his word, but don't ever disrespect my brother and what he's trying to do for his people in his capacity, because you wouldn't like nobody disrespect yours. Even if it was so much as you being a good father and raising your children and providing for your household. That's what you do for your people, because your family is the cornerstone of your people. But for you to go on there and try to insult that man's character for some nail-eating dude from a while ago who tried to do his best for our people, you done lost your ever-loving mind.
Let's get a recap. The magician, rope trick,
Exorcist,
ball bending,
exorcist,
crystal ball fortune teller,
curer of deafness, blindness,
paralysis,
crystal ball using,
crystal ball, that purple hood wearing, Merlin,
correspondence course taken.
yogi instructing.
I went to India, or it was Egypt, or I'm from Virginia, or maybe North Carolina.
Alias changing, Timothy, the magician, Drew. There was nothing spectacular, divine about this person. He's a regular black man, like all of the other ones who came before, who was adding on to the culture that was going on, and they all put some mysterious stuff around them, and they was doing what they was doing. So now,
for the record, I will give, because this is what we do. We give credit where credit is due. Like, I didn't see the SETI debate, but Rob Warren gave me the link, and I saw Ali Muhammad's the other day. This was after we did ours. I had no idea about it, and I'm telling you, in that particular thing, he did a great job in that. But I noticed, I said, hey, he didn't mention this. And so what you witness is something that you ain't never seen in the conscious community. You ain't never seen before he was noble firsthand, other than an Egyptian adept card. You ain't never read his words or saw what he was doing so you could put the pieces together. Never. That jewel was brought to you by new black knowledge. To the smoke you want, you have been smoked. You are ether. You are dust. And we don't destroy, we also build. So if you like to build from here forward, we are 100% in. If you want to build to talk about the stuff that you're doing in your community and the organizations that you have set up for your community, and you'd like some help or some resources or just to make it more aware to the greater community, our platform is accessible for that. We don't just destroy, we build.
yeah, Tahaka, I see you still commenting in there. Maybe you can't get on. At least say that you can't get on in the chat. Because I don't want you to say that, oh, you talked about me and you ain't give it. I didn't do what you did. The link is in the chat for you to come on. If you're at work and you can't come on, please say so. You said you got some police records or something. By all means, bring it up. Let's go. Let's get this thing to talking. Let's get to talking. So again, the link is in the chat again. Everybody see, I'll keep posting in there. And yeah. Jump on, brother, and teach. Teach your
Brother
speech.
Tarver, if you listening, you are more than welcome. This ain't no adversarial form. This ain't nothing like, channel you've been on before. We don't get down like that over here.
You have a police report about what? Why don't you come on? If you have the time to type, why don't you come on and explain what the police report had to do with all of the information? We showed you Noble Drew Ali before he was Noble Drew Ali. We now made the people understand how he became to do his Moorish drama show. We show you him, which you already saw, the Egyptian adept, the curer of diseases. Now it all makes sense. So are you going to come on here and prove that he is not Thomas Drew, that that's not him? Are you going to show us the census that we looked at, but there's only a couple of people with this name and we narrowed it down? Are you going to show that? Because we have the correspondence. We showed it in the beginning, the library. Like, yeah, that guy, that's Thomas, that's Noble Drew Ali. That's the guy. You guys give us this money. We'll send it to you right now. We'll give you all the articles you want. I'll give you everything we got. If you think that this is all we got, son, I'm sorry, son. It could get real bad. But we ain't going to do that. We just got these questions to answer. Come on here and show and prove about the nail-eating, exorcism, crystal ball fortune teller, prophet. Come on. You asked for this.
Well, he said give him a sec, so to be fair, we give him a sec, sure. This is not first of all, is there any questions in the chat?
Yeah, any questions about the information?
If there's any questions or anything that should re-show, or if there's no clarity, I want to separate our words from the source's words. I don't want anything to get misconstrued or minced up like we are saying something about Noble Drew Ali. This is what I don't want to do with anything. We want to try to find the sources and let the sources speak, and not sources to take one position or another. Do we know that there's some bias in news? Yeah. Do we know that there's some bias toward black folks back then? Sure. That doesn't negate what he's saying in his activities, though. He said he had a brainstorm and something happened. He lost his magical powers until he got his crystal ball back. Not us. He said he took correspondence courses. Not us. Who's that?
Peace. There you go. That's the brother right there. Peace.
Who's that? I can't.
Islam.
Islam. What the
Peace.
deal?
Peace, brother. Peace.
You gotta turn. I think you gotta turn something down in the back. You hear music.
Hold up. That's my wife. I just coming home for lunch, bro. So hold on a second.
Peace. Okay.
Yeah, take your time, man. This ain't that serious, man. At the end of the day, you got.
Hold up. Let me get my wife cut that down for a second, real quick. Hold on.
Now, remember, MBK family and audience, we are respectable people over here, and we don't get down on all of that crazy stuff. So we're gonna give opportunity for everybody to speak. Go ahead, brother.
Danny, hold on. I forgot to mention. He did make a post and apologize for calling people out their names. So we got to give him that.
Okay, well, I say, all right. So if that's out the way, then I'll say that's all I wanted. I wish you would have told me that before we went live. That's
no. Can we? Hey, brother. What's your name, brother?
My name is True Storian, brother. How are you?
All right, I'm good. First and foremost, let me rise and give praise to the great God Allah. I give honor to his prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and I give honor to all things pertaining to Moorish and the uplifting of our people by whomever that makes a contribution. So, brother, what you're pulling up is history, and we embrace history. True scholars and true seekers of truth embrace history. You understand? Mm-hmm. And so I have a lecture that I have already demonstrated in Atlanta. And this lecture, a few people have seen it. This lecture is called The Hijacking of the Moorish Science Temple of America. What happened? No, The Hijacking of the Nation. What happened to the Moorish Science Temple of America? And that history that you're displaying here, I display there. But I even go a step further. And so I don't embrace the concept of Prophet Noble Drew Ali name being Timothy Drew. I have corroborating evidence, just as you just shown, that that's not the case. But I go a step further and show why that was put in place, why that name or a switcheroo happened. And so I'm not going to give a whole bunch up on this, but I
know you have it for your own work and your own presentations.
But I can tell you, we don't run from this. What I can say this.
Wait, let's get past it. It's not the point of running at this point. Like, if you have it and you're presenting it, that's cool. I'm just trying to get some understanding, so you have something to counter that this Thomas Drew is not Noble Drew Ali.
No. I'm telling you that Thomas Drew and Noble Drew Ali is one and the same.
Right, but
I don't run from that.
But I'll send you. Like, listen, I don't know if you got it. Put it this way. I know I've never seen the newspaper clippings. I will send them to you so you can have. This ain't no, you know.
You can send it to me to Haka Bay. I'm gonna tell you this. I don't think you're hearing me, because I want you, Yahoo. I'm gonna email. I'm giving you my email right now.
All right, yeah, I'll send them to you.
Now listen. I don't listen. I'm a different type of Moorish American, and this is what people don't understand. I embrace history. But I have this history. I have no problem with this history. I have no problem with the reports. I have tons of reports, you know. And like I said, matter of fact, I'll give you a screenshot. Let me see if I can pull something up real quick. I have a file on Thomas Drew.
I get that, bro. But I'm just trying to understand that. Could you, unless it's something you want to keep private, which I get.
No.
Hold on, let's hear me out. How did you come to that conclusion that Thomas Drew that's mentioned there is not? You saying it is Noble Drew Ali?
Yes. See, that's why I don't think you're hearing me.
Okay, so if it is Noble Drew Ali,
right,
then, and this is not to start getting down the road.
No, come on, brother, come clean. All right,
so can you explain the curing of deafness and blindness and the crystal ball and that stuff?
I will say this: I was not there, but I do have a report, a recorded report from those that was. From two people that was with the prophet at that time that said they actually witnessed this, you know. So I mean, I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
You know what? I like that. That's fine.
Brother, let me finish.
I take it.
Listen, I'm saying. I'm not going to jump out the window and say, "Oh yeah, the prophet healed this." I have confidence that the prophet is and was a healer. There's no problem with me with that. That's somebody else's problem not to accept that. I have no problem with that.
That's fair. So what about the correspondence courses? Did you have any research into that?
I've read all of that, brother. The thing is this. This is the thing. I've read all of that. I do know that if that's the fact of the matter, I'm willing to accept that, because we in the Moorish Science Temple of America, look, this is, brother, I talked to you for about 5 minutes, right? And I didn't even think that you heard me when I was saying that I accept.
No, I heard that. I'm not fighting that, bro.
But even I'm looking at the chat right now, and they say,
don't listen. One thing we don't worry about the chat.
Listen to this. But I want our people to pay attention to what I'm saying, as opposed to being goofy. You know what I'm saying? Now, at the end of the day, right? I accept that the prophet was a healer. That doesn't mean that you have to accept that.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
Fair, yeah.
I also accept if the correspondence course, if that was the case, whether it's true or fabricated by the writers of the paper, it really doesn't have no bearing on me. Because one of the things that I teach in the Moorish Science Temple of America that are consistent with olden times as it relates to the story of Jesus, the story of Muhammad, the story of Abraham, and so forth and so on, that there's a period of divine ministry. And the period of divine ministry is the part where everything unfolds and comes to fruition. And that period in Prophet Noble Drew Ali's mission was 1925 through 1929. Everything before that, could be or would be a process of development into 1925 to 1929.
Yeah, I get that.
And this is known throughout history. So I don't run from that. You understand what I'm saying?
The point of running, but in this case, we're just trying to understand, okay, influence.
I can't explain. Listen, I can't explain the every part of the preparation leading up into 1925 to 2029.
Right. Yeah, he's involving in the story. I get that. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So what I can say though, I know that in order for me to evolve into this, I could tell you some things that you'd be like, nah, for real, Talker? For real?
Talker, come on now. Listen, I agree with you 100%, but come on, son. The crystal ball.
No, listen what I'm saying.
I agree with you.
That is not debatable to me. The developmental process is not debatable to me.
Okay.
This is what happened, brother. Let me tell you what happened. The elders hid this information from the generations. And so now, if you put it out or I put it out, it seemed like a shock. The elders hid it because they could not explain it, and they tried to run from it. This is why I use the term, I don't run from it. But when I'm telling, in reality, the elders should have put it out there. But what happened in the takeover of the Moorish Science Temple of America, they covered it up with the name Timothy Drew. They covered it up with not making a historical account before 1925. They covered it up and only saying that he started in 1913, and then we jumped to 1925, like the Jesus story.
Right. That's fair.
So they covered it up. That was their problem. That's not my problem. That's the elders' problem. My job is to clean it up.
So could you help clarify at one point? And I'm honestly, I'm 100%. This is an honest question. I don't understand. So with the elders, it seemed like there was a battle for power at some point.
Right. Absolutely.
Is reincarnation a part of it? Or is that just somebody using that as a mechanism?
I don't support that far-fetched concept of Prophet Noble Drew Ali reincarnated. That's not me. I don't support that.
So how can, as laymen or on the outside, how do we understand the various different types of Moors to try to understand, because it gets confusing.
Well, brother, you're going to have to follow Hijacking Bay as I move forward. Look, brother said, I'm trying to hypnotize you. Brother, as I move forward as I move forward into public and into the more forefront of teaching common sense Moorish science, then you'll be able to see. Right now, it's so discombobulated, bro. It is what it is. It's discombobulated. But Brother Targum Bey is going to do something. This year, in the coming few years, be it the will of Allah, I am going to clear all of this mess up, where the next generation won't have to be surprised. Because I'm not surprised with this. I'm telling you, I got the typed up letter from the precinct. You know what I'm saying? I got the typed up letter. So I'm not surprised. But when you have the younger generation, they will become surprised. Like, but this is nothing to worry about. This is history. This is history.
So what as far as I'm just trying to understand as far as lineage. So by him passing and not naming a successor, like he
named the successor, brother.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So would that be, and educate me if I'm wrong, would that be the C. Kirkman Bey would be the successor?
No. Unfortunately, I don't really want to get into that conversation at this time.
Okay,
I will say, C. Kirkman Bey was not the one that was appointed successor by the prophet, although he was the prophet interpreter.
So on the outside, and this is why you need to get on your job. Do you see how this can be confusing if we just
absolutely, bro? Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I see how it's confusing. I see how it can be taken as pseudo. And so this is why when somebody like me will come in and to explain, we got millions of Moors. Nobody else going to take this stand. Nobody else going to grab this mic. I don't have no problem with it. You know what I'm saying? But nobody else is going to grab this mic because they probably don't even know this history. Because their grand sheiks didn't tell them this history. And they, oh, I got to explain this. I got to explain this. I don't have to explain anything. In reality, I just go and produce what the prophet produced. But for the sake of understanding in the next generation, it's my pleasure to explain. But it's going to take time for it to get out into the mass public. You know, people in my circle know. People in my circle know. I got the advertisings. Probably advertise this thing.
Talk about what is the name of your organization?
The Moorish Science Temple of America. We are taking it back.
What you mean taking it back?
In other words, I'll say this. Say this. When the Prophet Noble Ali passed on, there was a riffraff in the leadership. There was 5 different people or groups, if you will, trying to take over the movement due to the fact of the monetary value of the movement. It was $1 million religious corporation. You know, it had power that as a group, it had power with the local politicians. It had power with the local bankers. It had power to control the whole community wherever there was a temple. And so people wanted that power. And so there was 5 different factions of groups trying to take that power. So after Prophet Noble Ali passed form, he left the leadership to Brother Edward Merely Ill.
Okay.
But through Edward Merely Ill, from 1929 to 1934, Edward Merely Ill was the head of the Moorish Science Temple of America, had the title of the Grand Sheik and Chairman, as well as the Supreme Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And what happened was Merely Ill passed form in 1934 under suspicious circumstances. And that's when Kirkman Bey, you know what I mean? Kirkman Bey jumped into position. You see? And so I'm not scared to talk about these things. You ain't gonna hear this, and many Moorish Americans talk about this. I'm educated in the matter of the history as well as the greasy and maybe dirty stuff that people may be scared to talk about.
I got a greasy question for you. So I don't know if it's greasy. I just want some clarity on it.
Come on with it, bro.
It seems like Claude Green was trying to be the head of the organization.
Brother, let me give you this. And I gotta go real quick, bro. We can have a long conversation, right?
Wait, before you go though, before you go, listen, before you go and leave, could you tell us about the organization? I know you're trying to get some blocks, so I saw one time you was trying to do something.
Yeah, we could
talk about that before you leave.
Oh, okay. So listen. Not only was it Claude Green, it was Claude Green, it was James Lomax Bey, it was and I'm gonna tell you one thing about Kirkman Bey. He really didn't want the position, but there was a group that wanted to put him in that position. And in this lecture that I had, the hijacking of the Moorish Science Temple of America, it would be like, I'm like, brother, you are the best suited, and you say, no, I don't want this position. It's like, you're gonna take this position. And so they was gangsters back then. Keep it 100. They was gangsters. They wasn't playing. You know what I'm saying? And so it was Claude Green was with a group. It was Aaron Paynell with a group. It was Kirkman Bey. But like I said, he was forced, from my research, he was actually forced into the position. He really didn't want the position. He actually let the position go, and they voted him back in when they reorganized in 1934. Also, you have James Lomax Bey with these 4 people trying to get this into position, right? But at the end of the day, I'm going to say this, and this is me, and this has no bearing on any other Moorish Science Temple of America, because I respect them all trying to do the best what they can do. I don't believe the Moorish Science Temple of America that the prophet created exists right now idealistically. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
I don't believe it exists. And so the group that I am working with, the Moorish Science Temple of America, and we brand ourselves the Noble Temples. We are working towards building exactly from the model that the prophet left for us. That's what we're working towards.
So
as we build this model from the example that the prophet left for us, we also are going to really put out this history that people are not aware of. And we're going to put out the controversial topics that the people are scared of.
Is there a charter, or is there a charter and incorporation that's in place that seems to be an issue? Like who owns more? What's the
brother? The Prophet Noble Drew Ali teaches us that the door of religious freedom swings open and anyone can walk through as they seem fit. That's fictitious. That's crazy. That's what they've been used to hold people captive. That you have to be under me. That you have to be a part of me because I own this. You cannot own religion in the United States. You know that, and I know that.
Yeah, but but what they could do is a lawsuit like they used to do against the Freemasons. They did it against the Black Freemasons, where you can't use the names or the paraphernalia or certain things like that. That's why there's already been 2 cases that have been decided at the Supreme Court level concerning that and the Moorish Science Temple of America, and the judge has already said that is not possible. No. All right, I know you gotta go. I see you answer, but tell us.
I gotta go work, brother. I gotta go work.
You're in the hood before you leave. Forget about Noble Drew Ali. What are you doing? Like in ball? How can people help? You got people.
Brother, I'm gonna tell you something. Yeah. As I talk about, somebody talk about the mail order packet, the eating of the nails.
Forget about all that right now.
Let me get to my point. Family, I don't mind addressing all of that, you know what I'm saying? Because I cannot prove or disprove. I would not bow. I mean, in the stage of growth and development, who knows what may have happened? But I know from the divine ministry part from 1925 to 1929, I know the model in which we espouse here.
2019, what is Brother Hijacking Bey? Like, how can the people help you? What are you doing?
This is what I'm ready to say. So from 25 to 29, I know what we espouse. And we know that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali asked the Moorish Americans, do you want your own town? So what we did in Baltimore, right where Freddie Gray was killed, we bought a piece of property and got another piece of property on the way. We got a 3-story building on the way so we can initiate this Moorish village. And
so those who are not Moors, how can they help? How can they contact
those who are not Moors need to understand that just like you go to a Chinatown, if you come to Baltimore, you will want to come to a Moorish village and have a vegan meal. You will want to come to a Moorish village.
So right, that's what I'm saying. How can people help? Is there a restaurant?
So you can hit my Cash App. You can. I don't do GoFundMe. But you can also, if you have products, goods, and service, you can email me so you can also have them placed in our variety store. I mean, it's not just Moorish or Moors doing this. I got red pill and blue pill. When I'm ready to open the store, bam, Their stuff is going to be in there. I got people around the country from different sectors of
are you
our
looking
community.
for like, are you looking for like construction workers or people to help you with the buildings, or?
Right now, what I'm doing is I got a small little crew. I do a lot of the work myself. This is what I do for a living. I do property management. I do home improvement and rehabs. So I do this for a living. You know what I'm saying? And so the point being is that right now I'm creating the model. Once I create the model,
I get you.
I'm going to get the rest.
Right.
I'm going to the city and get the rest.
No, but I'm saying, like, if we got, because I know it's a few people in here right now who are in that Baltimore area. If they want to put
tell them how at me.
Huh?
Tell them how, tahakabay@yahoo.com.
There you go. Tahaka Bay. If people are listening and you're in the Baltimore area and you like to help with some of the efforts that Brother Bay is doing, reach out to him at tahakabay@yahoo.com.
Yeah, and the thing is, when I say hit my Cash App, that don't mean you got to send 20 or 100. Some people send $5, and that's a paintbrush. You feel what I'm saying?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Some people got sweat equity where they could be like, you know what, I might need $5, but I can come and give you 6 hours worth of labor.
Yeah, and so exactly, bro. I got a brother right now. He's not a Moorish American, and I could not pay him to help me gut this building out. But what happened was, I could give him the bare minimum that I could afford out of my pocket when I first got the building. But he came every time I called him. But now we're in the process right now of putting the first business with the temple, and he's one of the first ones. I don't know if you can see this, but he's one of the first ones that is going to be hired. If I can find it real quick, he's one of the first ones that's going to be hired. These are the flyers that we passing out around the neighborhood for the Moorish gutter maintenance business. I used to have a gutter business, cleaning gutters and repairing gutters, but he's going to be one of the first ones that's being hired for that business under the Moorish Science Temple of American. So, yeah, you know, sweat labor is always good.
Good. All right.
Good. So Tahaka, all of that is for the black community that you're the community that you're in, right?
Brother, it's for our people, all our people. You know what I'm saying?
Got you, yo. You know what I'm gonna tell you? I love your black nationalism, baby.
Yeah.
Hey,
you are a black nationalist.
You are a black nationalist, bro. We love it.
Hey, bro, listen. Let me tell you something, man. Hey, bro, I'm apologize to you online and your people, brother, because calling you an idiot is unacceptable. Calling you a clown is unacceptable, especially as a sheik and a leader in the community. But, brother, I get real sensitive when people start talking crazy about the Prophet over Drew Ali. You know what I'm saying? Now, let me say this. How this brother bought his message today, you know, he had a little snickers and a little laughs, but you know what? It was straight documented scholarship. It wasn't no fugazi. It wasn't like I had to figure something out. And I'm looking what I have. I'm looking what he have. And so I don't get offended like that. But when I feel somebody trying to take a little sneak shot at the Prophet, I get a little worked up, bro.
Yeah, listen, man.
We all get worked up.
We all get worked up.
I didn't get worked up when you said something about the father. And then I was like, okay. I ignored it. It's okay.
So somebody say, tell them who explained who our people is. Our people are those who are descendants from the inhabitants of Africa. That's who our people is.
Great.
All those who are descended from the inhabitants of Africa. That's it.
And
that's it.
That's the perfect.
All right, peace and love. I mean, I got to bounce. I would love to
listen.
Conversation in the future, but I definitely got to go. Islam?
Yes, appreciate it. Islam, brother.
Peace and love, family.
Peace.
All right. So I think that was a productive way for the conversation to go. I appreciate Brother Bay actually coming on here. We stand by the evidence that we presented because it wasn't us, it was the evidence. But once we get past this is what I was saying, once we get past all of our various doctrines and get back to Black nationalism, brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want to label it, but get back to us being able to meet on a level, I think that we'll see a faster progression. Because what becomes a barrier, it seems to be like these doctrines or religions. And, you know, I guess it's cool to say that you don't have a religion, but some people become so indoctrinated and dogmatic in whatever they're pursuing that becomes their religion. So then you can't see past Kemet, you can't see past West Africa, you can't see past any of it. And these days and times call for dynamic minds. Excuse me, because we got some decisions that we got to make and moves that we got to make as a collective. So leave all that other stuff at the door when it's time to build. Time for me to get some water. Go ahead, Alan. I get some water.
Yeah, man. You know, that's good. I mean, he ain't denied the information. That's what we thought he was gonna do because most of them do. I mean, so like you said, it's too many different factions, man. But you know, that's what this bill was about. Just put the information out. Period. And you guys make the decision. And then you
What
go
this bill
research
is
it.
about is to also show you that MBK, we just move different. We different. This is not the WrestleMania. We're not out to destroy doctrine. We're not out to destroy people because once again, we understand, we don't necessarily agree with how they went about it, but we understand that all these people had the upliftment of their people in mind. Some of them were hucksters and stuff in the process who exploited their people. Period. Period. You know, and but we got to look at the totality of people. Malcolm was out there doing what he did before he got right. So when you look at the totality of a life, is how we can, I think, better, you know, gauge how we want to rate those people. But with that said, we still need to get to the truth so we can come to a truthful assessment of those people. We need to get off romanticism. We need to understand that Malcolm was our shining prince, but he was flawed. We need to understand that Marcus Garvey was our Moses, but he was flawed. We need to understand that the person that you look at in the mirror is the best representation of you, but that person is also flawed. And we share all those things in common, being humans, because there ain't been a perfect person to walk this earth yet, contrary to what some religious people may believe. So when you take that all into account, hey, and this is the point of history. This is my point. Why they always talk about history? Because it's done with. The only thing is there for us is to learn forward so we can have a better roadmap for tomorrow. And we learn. And so now that these things are in history, we should be able to honestly assess them. You know, while Marcus Garvey was alive, we didn't want all the stuff to come out. When you're alive, you don't want all your stuff to come out. But when we're gone and transition and babies can learn from your missteps, why not tell them those things? A baby can learn from the steps that you did right. Why not tell them? Because if we keep painting a rosy picture, when we come into situations that are not, you know, advantageous or maybe missteps, we don't know how to respond because we think it's not normal.
Right. And I think that also turns into leadership. So a lot of people will constantly say, yo, who's the leader? We need a leader. We need a leader of this, that, and the third. If we look at all of our organizations, once the leader, like if we look at Marcus Garvey, biggest organization we have, he was only locked up for a couple of years. Boom, organization gone. We look at Elijah Muhammad.
Yo, Alan, take it for a minute. I'll be right back. Give me 5 minutes.
We look at Elijah Muhammad. He disappears. What happens? Fractions. Organization gone. So we find ourselves constantly looking for some kind of Messiah, looking for the Savior, looking for the divine prophet, looking for the divine God. So I like to use the motto of the nation that guards the earth because there's no leader. The only leader is the people who are in position to actually do whatever the duty it is. Could they be doing a lot more? Hell yeah. But I'm looking at the leadership. I'm looking at the concept of leadership. So you will never see from the 60s, that is the only organization that does not have no splinter group. There's no new Nation of Gods and Earths. There's no new this. You will never see that because it's not designed like that. That's a model that should be utilized all through what we talking about. We speaking about black nationalism. You might, like right now, they have something called the Brooklyn Anti-Gentrification Organization. It's called BAN. And it's actually a national thing. It's all around. You have all of these people, and colored is inside of the name of it. So what these people are doing is fighting a problem that we specifically face: gentrification. the raising of the rents, the raising of to push the people out, the new Negro, so-called Negro pushing the people out. So if you decide to align yourself with an organization as that, where it's dealing with a problem that affects the people who look like you, who you already know that you are separate from these other different type of people, because there's other different type of people that are not you and do not share your history and trying to push you out your community, you now become a nationalist because you're dealing with a specific problem that affects the community of you and how you see yourself as separate from them. So these organizations exist. There's a whole bunch of different organizations that deal with specific problems that deal with what we would call Black, aka African, in their names. We need to know what these organizations are. We need to talk about these new things that are out here that we don't talk about. That is how we would build and be able to add on by each single person adding on to the issue. Because at the end of the day, once we get past the doctrine, it's all going to boil down to what? Taking care of the family, man, woman, and child. Making sure that they are able to advance.
I'll leave for 5 minutes and you going on some soliloquy about man, woman, and child, man?
Nah, you missed it. I was talking about leadership.
No, he was good.
Hold on, Sanab, brother. Would you say something, please, Sanab?
You know, Alan was going there. He was just talking about, you know, it's not necessarily a needed leader at the top of the hill that we all take instructions and directions from. Everybody can be their own leader. If you're doing what you need to do in your immediate location, you see what I'm saying? If everybody had that same mentality, we wouldn't be sitting here asking for a leader. But when it's time to raise up these babies who you see those leadership qualities in, let's make sure we put them in position to where they can run for, you know, alderman, city councilman, prosecutor, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But not necessarily. There's no king of Black nationalism. There's no president of Black nationalism. It's an ideology. Thinking Black is ideology. So, man, if you move like that, everything else will fall into place.
That's all I was saying, Mr. Danny. And you better stop trying to shoot, you closet Christian.
Here he go.
you ain't Sanab.
Here he go.
You got an A&B background.
Yo, why you take Harry Holland Garnett off your avatar, yo?
Because I like the turban wear.
Okay, I feel you.
I can move free. I can move freer.
Yeah, they ask you questions like, yo, who Henry Holland Garnett? He a Christian. He like, it's hard to explain that one. Put like Al Jaheed's on that motherfucker, Alibaba or something on your avatar or something.
Yeah.
I got you, yo.
But nah, man, you know, when you start talking about people's doctrine, they take it personal and it get crazy. And when it get crazy, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna come with the facts. This is what
we never, and I don't think any of us have ever suggested that you shouldn't be a Christian or you know, we kind of, you know, if it was, we kind of may have pulled some of that back. You can be whatever you want to be, but your personal beliefs shouldn't impede on what I'm trying to do and where I'm at. You can believe in a rock for all I care.
Hold up.
Tell me I should believe in said rock. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep saying Pacifically all day. Stop asking me about that.
Are you gonna say that from a Project Ed page? Where is that echo, brother?
Specifically.
He in the subway.
Specifically.
You know, Alec, will you admit for our audience that Tahaka got you with that image he put on that flyer?
Yeah, that shit was funny.
Will you at least admit that Tahaka got you with that image?
Yo, he got me.
And
he had the sword over my head.
Every slide had that picture of Alan on it.
He had me with the turban on it.
He had Alan looking crazy on the
I see where this one going.
I was about to start cracking some jokes, but man, I don't want to keep this going. I want people. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please share it. Please definitely comment on the video. If you got something in disagreement, what we do ask is just keep it collegial and scholarly if you're going to do that, and not with the just, attacks. I know some stuff for you to digest, but that's all we ask, so we can at least continue conversations with people, even if we have disagreements with them. Now, I think that'll really display the character of people. Like, we can disagree, we can have heated exchanges, but we got to start showing some character because these things are in here for, what's the word? In perpetuity. These things are online for life. And just because you got rid of your YouTube account, do not think for 1 second that these videos are gone. Those videos live on servers, and they own the rights to these videos. So them displaying these videos 5, 10 years from now and seeing the nonsense going on, you need to be mindful of. You don't own these. These are resting on Google's servers somewhere, who can do what they choose to do with them at any point, whether you deactivate your account or not. And a lot of people have, important positions in life, and you don't want the stuff that you said in a fit of rage to come back to haunt you and bite you. Doesn't mean that you hold your tongue, but there's a way, I believe, that you go about doing things.
That's right. And then I just put my picture in the back, man. It's a law you act boss. So y'all want to keep grabbing my pictures over Facebook, and I already know what's coming. You can show the picture now. And it's a law you act boss.
Wait, before we folks, before we leave, NBK, how we get down. Anybody can get in, even our own. So we're going to share with you now. Alan Brown is on the clock to explain what I'm about to show you, folks. So let me show my screen. So what we're going to do now is, please ask Alan Brown to explain this right here. Alan Brown exposed. Please ask Alan Brown to explain this right here. Alan Brown exposed. Alan, Mr. Black Man is God. What are you doing in this picture? Before we end this broadcast, we will give you 3 minutes to explain Alan Brown exposed. Go. And I'm leaving it up there too.
You can leave it up there. I was in Dubai. I went to Dubai, and they let you put on the garb. And they said, you want to take a picture with it on? I said, all right. So he's watching a little show. So I said, yeah, I'll put it on. So I just did it for the camera. Just, you know what I'm saying?
What are you doing with your hands? Are you praying?
No, I just did it because I just did it for the picture, man. That's all.
You did it for the picture.
Yeah. I did it for a picture to have.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Did they make you put on that Arabian Nights headgear as well?
No, I wanted that. I like that.
You wanted.
I wanted that turban.
So you wanted.
Yes, I wanted that turban, dog. I like it. Those shit is hot. Dipset Harlem. Dipset Harlem. I'm bringing it back.
All
I got a
you got jokes too, y'all. This ain't
Yo, they got me. That shit is a good picture. They like, what are you doing?
That shit's about to be all over the internet. Just so you
look at your man, God, Rob Boy. Looking like Sheikh Daoud. So where? Yo,
they ain't give you like the head scrunchy thing to put your turban on, right?
Yeah, I got that one too, but I just put the turban on that way. It looked dope. You know what I'm saying? I like the turban, son. I got them shit too.
I ain't gonna front. You already know. I got about a good 8, 9 of them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel they're comfortable and they keep the sun off your neck.
Yo, tired.
Yeah, Tahaka, you missed that one.
Yo,
you could have had that picture. You missed that one.
Tahaka Bay, I have an email coming your way. Please put Rob Boy exposed.
Damn, Alan.
Yo, who on there? Consul, what's up, man? You just popped up. You got to talk. What's up, man?
What up, man? What's good?
What's good with you, brother?
Chilling, man. I saw the title. I said, "Oh man, let me see what is this about."
You ain't see it from the beginning?
No, man. No. I've been.
Man. So there was some information that me and Danny researched on who Noble Jew Ali was before he was Noble Jew Ali. So it was a lot of information about stuff that people didn't know about. Because I never saw it before until we was researching, and we called the library, and bought the newspapers from Newark, and we got it. And we got the thing for Virginia. We got him talking about where he got his information from with the correspondence course. We got him getting locked up. We got him beating the charge. We got there. Yeah, it was a bunch of stuff. But it just made all of the stuff that we presently see that you saw in debates like the Egyptian adept card, the rope trick. Now it makes sense because we see how it transitioned. This doesn't take away from what he tried to do, but at the end of the day, this is where this came from.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty widely known. I mean, Chicago is known. It's not much of a mystery here about Noble Ali, because I mean, for 1928, with his limited resources and limited research, he could really go off a lot of his own personal ideas, like creating stuff that was already created, and more of a hustler type mentality with him.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And now
so
that's go ahead.
Here's something that we did research. I didn't bring up because it's not really, it's just something to put that even more into clarity. So you look at Claude Green, right? And I did the homework on who Claude Green is. Claude Green, who was basically the business partner for Noble Ali, had an interesting position. Claude Green was the butler of one man named Julius Rosenwald. And so what I'm going to do is just to show you, and this ain't no jabs. This is just history for people to understand where Noble Ali gets this concept from. I think we're attributing it too much to Marcus Garvey and not to Booker T. Washington.
I mean, much respect to Marcus Garvey, Elijah Muhammad, Noble Ali, all those guys are that circa, but that's like 75, 80, 90 years ago.
Yes.
Like, I would rather do, and of course, with respect, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Team Osiris, we tend to be a bit brazen. This is about Noble Ali, but I would like to do exposés on some of these so-called black national saviors out here today.
Yeah.
That are trash. They just trash. And they don't even compare to the ones that was at least trying.
So what I
won't name no names, but
we can get into that. But just let me just get this out first, because this is important. So Claude Green is the butler of this man named Julius Rosenwald, and I think I'm sharing my screen. I want people to see who Julius Rosenwald is. Julius Rosenwald was an American businessman. He is best known as part owner and leader of Sears, Roebuck and Company, which is a Chicago a company that was a Chicago company. And so the importance is read here, and he is best known as a part owner and leader of Sears, Roebuck and Company, and for establishing the Rosenwald Fund, which donated millions in matching funds to support the education of African American children in the rural South. Claude Green, who was Noble Ali's business partner, was this man's butler. And so what does that mean? This is important because when you go and you look at the people surrounding Noble Ali, what you will find is that many of them were Tuskegee men. And you will know that Julius Rosenwald was the man. If I just search for Booker, I'm sure it's in this article. Here it is. You'll see that he was the one that gave the money for Booker T. Washington to build those schools down south. They were called Rosenwald Schools. And what I'll do, I'll just deviate for a second and show you, because there's a book if you're interested in a topic, because this goes back to our funding and how we get a lot of stuff. And that's a whole nother thing that we need to talk about. So if you type in Rosenwald Schools, and where's the book at? These are the Rosenwald Schools. This is what he had us doing. You see the black children, this is Rosenwald in the middle. And this, see, they're wearing the letters to spell out Rosenwald. So when Booker T. Washington wants these schools to be built down south, like this is, for example, I'm sorry I can't get a bigger picture. These are Rosenwald schools that are being built to get us educated. Julius Rosenwald is doing the funding for that. This is the book that you want to get right here if you're interested. It's called You Need a Schoolhouse. And I'll see if I can make the image bigger. And you can see on the cover here, this is Julius Rosenwald. Claude Green is his butler, and Booker T. Washington. And so what we find is not only his Booker T. Washington and Julius Rosenwald. Here is the sign I forget what this one is, but this is for the Rosenwald Schools. It says the Julius Rosenwald Consolidated School, built in 1930, was a combined elementary and high school. It brought in African American students, and yada yada yada. Julius Rosenwald is the one that is funding these schools, right? And so Claude Green has that influence in networking because he is his butler. But not only that, let me show you one more thing and show you the connection to why I say I think that we need to look more toward Booker T. Washington and not Noble Drew Ali. Now, there is a man who was high up in the Moorish Science Temple who was a former preacher, and his name is Reverend Moses Jackson. For all those who are interested, he actually had a big church in Chicago. And Reverend Moses Jackson, you will find out, was a teacher. I'm trying to find the right one at Tuskegee. There's your connection once again with Booker T. Washington, Reverend Moses Jackson, who, see, look, he was called the Sheik, right? Now there's this riot going on. I believe this is the one where the Moorish Temple Science guy gets killed, and you see here right where the mouse is going. Moses Jackson, known to other cult members as the Sheik, was recovering from a shoulder wound. This is during the MSTA thing in 1929. But when you do the homework on Moses Jackson, like I say, you're gonna find out that he was formerly Reverend Moses Jackson, who was teaching theology classes at Tuskegee, and I'll show you that. So that same Sheik, what is this about 20 years before he became the Sheik, was Reverend Moses Jackson, and he was teaching classes. Remember the name, Moses Jackson. So you see here, Phelps Hall Bible Training School, yada, yada, yada. Phelps is another benefactor. This is why you have a Phelps Hall, many of your HBCUs. But when you scroll down at the bottom, you're going to see right where the mouse is, Reverend Moses Jackson of the Presbyterian Church, Chicago, delivered a special course of lectures during the past term. This is in Tuskegee's theology school. Moses Jackson at this time is a Christian who's head of this Presbyterian church in Chicago, who then becomes Moses Jackson the Sheik when he gets down with the Moorish Science Temple years later. My point of saying this is the connections with Claude Green and Moses Jackson point to an influence of Booker T. Washington in his nation building, which was shot into the MSTA, more than what Marcus Garvey was doing. You understand what I'm trying to say? Everybody done left me?
No, we here, brother. I'm here. I'm listening.
No, I'm here, bro.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
As far as that, because that's what's going on in Chicago. And we didn't bring it up, and listen, Alan, I'm not doing no more jazz or whatever, but there was another organization like Alan mentioned prior to that, which we can show you, which is in Chicago. It's called the Star of Ethiopia. And I think it had influence on how Noble Drew Ali was moving after that, because this happens in 1920, and this is in Chicago, right? And so the Star of Ethiopia is saying that we're Abyssinians and that we need to go and get our land in Ethiopia, right? Why every time I put this in here, it don't want to come up? Okay, Star Order of Ethiopia. And this is based in Chicago. And what happens in 1920, this is this crazy part. Let me back up. It's led by a white man. He is the one convincing all the Negroes in Chicago that we really Ethiopians and we should go to Abyssinia. And I'm going to show you him. His name is R.D. Jonas. This is about 8-9 years before Drew Ali comes to town, to show you the backdrop that he walked into. So this man, if I could, the picture clears up and get it bigger. This is the Ethiopian leaders or whatever that came here. See where the one is? That white man is the leader of the Star of Ethiopia. His name is R.D. Jonas. Only white man in the picture, I believe. Right? And this other man, this black man,
that's Redding, right?
Redding.
Yeah.
Redding. That was his partner. And so what happens is they have a parade dressed like Abyssinians going through town in 1920 on horses, and they end up burning the American flag. And this causes a riot where police officers are killed and some other stuff happens. This is 1920. This is 1 year after the 1919 riots in St. Louis. And this is Grover Cleveland Redding, and this is the leader, this white man, of the Star Order of Ethiopia that was in Chicago. So why do I say this? So what's, oh man, they got, what is that? Onks up in here too? I never noticed that. Oh Lord. What happens is this happens in Bronzeville, in the black part of town or whatever, and they get wrapped up in this, and the police looking for everybody, but the black folks turn against them because they started burning the American flag. Now, what does that have to do with Noble Drew Ali? What you're gonna find out is when Noble Drew Ali has that incident at his temple, in the article, if I can pull it up, it'll show you that the members of the Moorish Science Temple came from the Star Order of Ethiopia. That's how they got some. This is something I got to give this to Harker Bay too if he don't grab it. But I found Noble Drew Ali had a hauling and moving company in 1926 in Chicago at that Indiana Avenue address. I found that one. I'll send that to Harker, so he got it. But what you call it? So that's what's happening in Chicago. I just wanted to show y'all that in that incident in 1929, it'll tell you that the members. What is that? The one, Alan, when they called them the voodoo cult?
Yeah, they called them the voodoo cult, and they was talking about his teachings of nationality, saying that you're not a Negro or colored. Those are names given to you by the European.
Right. Those are the same things that the Order of Ethiopia was giving. They was giving you a membership card, as well as you were getting a new name, and you would contribute to this Back to Ethiopia movement. But in this art, I think this is the one. It'll tell you that the members came from the defunct Star Order of Ethiopia, just showing you that connection with these black folks. Now, okay, this order has gone now. Here's a new one coming up that is in, Planet Roots in Chicago, trying to give us nationality. But it does tell you that a lot of the black folks wasn't feeling the fact that they were being called now Moors. Do we have that one? I don't remember which one it was.
Damn, I thought it was the voodoo one. Or which one was it? I can't remember, man.
And this is not a jab or a knock or nothing. This is something that something that black folks was wrestling with. That, like, wait a minute, we were just Ethiopians a few years ago. Now you coming around telling us we Moors. So there's pushback in Chicago and other places with being identified as Moors because of that. Not a knock, just what's in the history. It's just interesting to examine. That's all. It ain't, like I said, this ain't no knocks, none of that nonsense. This is just what happened, and just trying to get some clarity on how black folks in general was moving and navigating through this wrestling with identity in the midst of trying to get some freedom. And one of the hopes, like we said, it didn't limit it to religions. It's the same reason that we lighten our hair and straighten our hair. That was an avenue thinking that our looks would get us some advantage in the system because we was light, bright, and next to white.
Yeah, but I do find it interesting that once they burn that flag, every organization has that American flag in it. Like,
right.
No problem.
That's what I was getting at. Now the Moorish Science Temple comes up, and Drew Ali probably wisely take a different approach of saying, look, we know 9 years ago to just mess that cause here, we're gonna be Americans. We're just saying that we're Moorish Americans. And then he gets involved a little bit more and having influence because Claude Green and Oscar the Priest, actually Constant, what's that movie? Let me show Constant. Maybe he know what his building is. what was it? The People's Movement, right, Alan?
Yeah, People's Movement.
All right, let me show, because this is the building where Claude Green was killed in front of, and where Oscar the Priest had his offices. Damn, this is like blind people's site. Here's the building right here. Constantly, you know what this building is? It's called the People's Movement Building. People's Movement Club.
Yeah, that's on the south side of Chicago.
Right. So this is where Oscar the Priest and the other who was it? Either Jackson and I think Anderson. They had some offices there, and Claude Green had an office there, as well as they had meeting halls. And so this is how this connection, what was going on in Bronzeville, the black aldermen and Oscar the Priest doing his thing, and then these organizations, the Masons, the Moors, and all those people kind of, coalesce together. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm just trying to give a sense of.
That's
You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on. Like, we looked at the Harlem Renaissance, and I gotta look for it. Where's the book on Chicago during this period? Because there's a lot of stuff going on in Chicago during the
called Kings.
Which one?
Called Kings.
Kings.
The story of Brownsville. It's called Kings.
Okay.
Chicago, actually, before the dailies, the actual first mayor was a black mayor in Brownsville.
Oh shit. Okay.
So you'll find that in Kings, and it's a lot of empirical data. That's why us in Chicago, we know about Noble Drew Ali because we didn't deify the man. We didn't turn him into no spook god. We already knew what he was about. When we dealt him being from the South, he already had ties to Vodou and a lot of other people. And people like angel investors, that's what we would call them today, of European persuasion. So when you hear people say sell out and all that stuff, if they understood what Booker T, Noble Drew Ali, and people like him were doing, they will be calling them that today, which I think is ludicrous. But
yeah, I agree with that. But see, there was and I forget the name of the book, because we've had this problem going back since the 1700s. This is not a new problem, where we're trying to make our moves, but we don't have the monetary resources a lot of the time, and so we have to look to white benefactors to do things, and we struggled with that. And actually, it was Du Bois during the Niagara movement who was trying to push out and says we didn't want the white influence, believe it or not, and that's what kind of caused the Niagara movement to fall apart. Was they didn't have the money to keep it going. And so things like Booker T, like we keep saying, okay, we need to build our own communities and all those. If we don't have the monetary resources, how does that get accomplished? You need to have access to capital, and if the man got all the capital, then you're gonna have to, you know what I'm saying? But the point is, once the money is donated, how much influence do they have on that organization? Can that organization still remain pure to its mission statement once it has this money injection who may have other ideas about it? That's what we struggle with, I think. You know what I mean? And because we had that problem with the NAACP. Like, okay, we got great people like James Weldon Johnson and all these other people involved in it, but these are white benefactors who are kind of in certain areas, not all of them, pacifying the lion. You know what I mean? And so it played out into policies, how we took a little bit non-aggressive attack on certain issues, and that came from that European influence. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't throwing all that money into the African Brotherhood or the Hamitic League. They was putting it into the NAACP. But it's the same problem that Richard Allen them faced, that Martin Luther King faced, that a number of people face. That's all.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad you putting this info out, because when you go to other cities, people become fanatical about this stuff. They become fanatical, and they put a person in the box that they don't deserve to be in. And it's good that you're disambiguating this for modern times, because we tend to take for granted how long ago 1928 was when he passed on, and the climate in that circa was unbelievable. But him doing the stuff that he was doing, along with Booker T, was unheard of. Like you got people like Robert F. Smith, who donates to a school, to Morehouse, and you got people that got the nerve to say he's a coon today. And Robert F. Smith is because of Booker T. He's the byproduct of that. And that's where the ignorance comes in. But it's a good show, man. I appreciate the work, brother.
Yeah. Most definitely, man. So it's just showing the connections, man. Putting little pieces of puzzles together because we want to know what's the foundation of this, why this happened. Can we learn something from it? Can we add on to it? How is these people able to build at that specific time where the nation is against them? How is they able to organize? The key to all of that is organization. That's really it. It's as simple as organizing. And we need to highlight those organizations and then point to the ones that are doing stuff right now as we speak. So yeah, that's really it on my end with that. Let me see the chat. Any other questions in here about what we building about, what we adding on about? What's going on in this chat? Damn, Mike can't. Damn, y'all all in there arguing. Yeah, man. Any questions about anything we brought up?
Sorry about that, man. I stepped away.
Nah, I was just asking the brothers in the chat if there's any questions. Yeah, man. So what you been up to, Consul, man? See, we resurrected out and Mr. Ngozi. That was fire.
Yeah, man. You know, I've been here and there doing a lot of philanthropic work here in Chicago, man. Just where I'm continuously doing what I do.
Mm-hmm.
As far as you know, teaching African history and stuff here in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Right here on the south side, 73rd and Stewart, St. Lawrence Avenue as well. Here in Chicago, we have a program for young men and teaching them how to deal with society, man, teaching them how to raise money for businesses, understanding how to establish grants for small business, understanding the power of banking, knowing what the rule of 78, 72, things like that, parenting skills, home economic skills, conflict resolution skills, things that are applicable to the community and things like that. Doing stuff like that, man.
Yeah, that's what's up.
It's been really cool, man. It's been rewarding, but you know, we've been doing that as a lodge, you know, Masonic Lodge. I'm very proud of my Masonic history. We've been doing that since 1989. So just continuing to do what we do.
Yeah, that's what's up. Somebody asked, was Noble Drew Ali a Shriner? Well, there's no records of it. Was he influenced by it? Yes, you could tell by the name Noble. You can tell about this brother named what's his name, Abdul Suleiman, and that this man comes from Egypt and he comes to the Prince Hall faction to talk to a brother named Jay Jones, I believe, and then he's talking to him about becoming Mohammedans and that he has the 96th degree or something.
Yo, you know who I think Jay Jones is, right?
What's that? Oh, you think that's him?
Yep. Jay Jones.
Yeah.
Where's James Morgan at? Where's James Morgan at? He's still in here?
Yeah, we need him.
John G. Jones.
John G. Let me show my screen.
It's the potentate that raised our Noble Drew Ali. His name is
John. Because this is something else that we brought out. We looked at the vision in the record to see did Noble Drew Ali really go see Garvey. And
no, I ain't y'all on that. I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about that name is on the visiting list.
John G. Jones went to go see Garvey?
No, that name is on there. J. Jones.
I'm showing the screen now so people can. Somebody put the link in the back in that chat. This is who John G. Jones is. Where is James Morgan? Because he can come on here and speak to more clearly on this if he is still in the chat, because he's the grand historian for the Prince Hall Masons. So if he is still in the chat, he can come in. So when they speak to Jay Jones, this is that Jay Jones, and they call him, he's supposed to be the father of bogus masonry. And you can see here that John G. Jones, that J. Jones was also in Chicago, Illinois. You see what I'm saying? And he sets up all these grand lodges, and then they say that he's supposed to have set up these bogus masonry lodges, and was Jones wasn't responsible for the Shriners, right, Alan?
No.
Yes, he was.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, he is the
Chicago
Egyptian
World.
Shriners, the black Shriners. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, they're being called bogus
Mhm.
by the Prince Hall because they do not follow the laws of amity and the fraternal ties to the UGLE, which is the United Grand Lodge of England.
Uh-huh.
But John G. Jones followed the original premise of Prince Hall, who had separated himself and created Africa Lodge number 459 because he didn't want to be associated with the Grand Lodge of England. And that created a separation and a rift. And so he was called clandestine and irregular because he did not meet the amity requirements, which was paying to the Grand Lodge. He didn't choose to do that.
Right, but he wasn't. They weren't afforded the full rights. They could only. Let me get this right. They could only parade. They couldn't. I don't know if they could raise people or whatever. There was some restrictions on what they could do because they had came through that Irish lodge. It was an Irish lodge up in Boston that they had came through. And you're right, that they were trying to get recognition from Ugly, which is the United Grand Lodge of England, and there were some issues with that. But eventually, they did get that that recognition. And so from that, there was a compact. Where's James? James Morgan could speak on this way more, but there was something that happened where it was a National Grand Compact, and then
James Morgan is. I know about it.
That causes a million splits within Prince Hall Masonry. That's why today you have so many splits within Prince Hall Masonry came out of that National Grand Compact. And then we have to take into account that there's other branches of Freemasonry that are around during the time. CERNO is one, CERNEAU. And then there was an issue with membership because Albert Pike didn't like the fact that he was losing members, so they made it that only one Grand Lodge could exist in each state. And that's when you start to see lawsuits pop up because Albert Pike had, he was mad that this is going on. They were losing members because of the Civil War and stuff like that, which he was a leader in. I forget what his title was. But yeah, that whole Freemasonry will take you down another rabbit hole. I'm going to say this for the record. On the New Black Knowledge channel, you will not see another video about Noble Drew Ali. How about that? We do not harp on any subject, and this has been 3 videos now talking about this, and I am done. I'm moving on and talking about other parts of niggerdom, like we've been doing. I'm going back to talk about Negroes from the 1800s and blackface and all the other stuff. This is not the channel to come through to see who is NBK bashing on next, because we do not. I repeat, that is not our mission or goal. It is just to put out some information so people who are interested can have the opportunities to further their research and their edification about the history of Africans in America and their descendants, and primarily West Africa. But when other members come on there and they have the knowledge base like the Houthi and Kaba and others about Egypt and even Rabon, then that's what they do. I ain't doing that either. You want to go ask about some Negroes sitting in trees in West Africa? I'm in. So with all of that said, unless y'all got anything else y'all want to add, please do. Y'all can have some last words before we shut it down.
Oh, Lord Abba's here. Let's add him to the chat.
Oh,
Since he likes to talk.
man.
Let's get him in here. No, we ain't done yet. He can come in. Lord Abba, did you see the see what we do here?
Watch the video first, because I'm done talking about Noble Drew Ali, man. Come on, man.
See, that's what I'm talking about, Danny. Let me tell you something. Can I say something before y'all close out?
Yeah, you could do whatever. Yeah.
I appreciate what you brothers. It takes courage And I'm going to say why. Because it's not the popular choice. We have to stop deifying men who just had a vision and a purpose. That was it for Noble Ali. He had a vision, he had a purpose. It's over with. It's been over with. It's had nothing to do with attacking Noble Drew Ali. As a matter of fact, you putting Noble Drew Ali in a terrible box with these guys that play with the nationality and changing IDs and doing all kind of crooked shit because they want to go around calling some man a god. And that's the problem. And I'm glad that you guys are showing empirical evidence of this man trying to create a movement for people in the community. And he's actually dealing with actual people. And he was doing some outlandish things, but we talking 1928. We're not talking now.
But what I do,
he did what he the best he could.
What I do want to say is we had a nice discussion with Brother Tahaka Bey, and it was respectful, and that's all I asked. And then you got this guy coming in here with the name calling, the names, and all that. Nobody does that over here, and nobody was attacking your leader, And we did fully address the knowledge. All I did was show that it wasn't us saying these things. We read these together. Lord Abba. So for you to come in the ninth ending with your lanes and all that, like you got to grow up a little bit, brother. You really do, man. Like nobody's coming here just trying to throw darts at Noble Drew Ali. We actually ended up with a productive conversation with Tahaka Bey. And if he wants the information to put it out to the people, then I mean, if I got it, he can have it. It's not a secret or throwing jabs. But then you got this whole 5%er stolen. Like, what are you talking about, brother? Is it now that you think that now you want to get at Rob Bourne's doctrine to now talk about the 5%ers? That has nothing to do with what we talking about. If you love to discuss the 5%ers, then say that you want to come on and discuss it. Rob Bourne ain't running to discuss the 5%ers, but that's not what this is about. And we'll do that the same respect. We'll give the Father his respect. And if there are things that we disagree with or things that Rob Bourne doesn't see the same within the nation of God's earth, he's the first one to tell you. Ain't nobody else got to speak for it. He'll tell you himself. But be careful and be mindful of the fact that Rob Bourne is also the same one who was in a law school, Mecca, teaching the young God stuff that's not necessarily in the doctrine, but he was giving him facts. So don't think that he's the one not to challenge things. But once again, those are the things that are done in a respectful and cordial way, not to just come out of nowhere and calling people lames. You look like a 3-year-old doing that, brother. You look like a 3-year-old. So, I mean, unless you're going to come in here or whatever, then I'm going to end it. But that's what I'm saying. And then we're done. So you can make a million more Noble Drew Ali, Rob Bourne videos. Like, as far as this channel, that is done. And we moving on. Tahaka Bey is always welcome back if he got something he's doing in the community. He wants to share, but I ain't trying to go into that. But Lord Albert, don't for a second think that you think we said it all, because that would be fatal. But I'm not going to do another video, and I'm going to ask Rob Bourne not to do another video on it. Time to move on. There's questions out there that you have now the job to go and find out and provide clarity for everyone else. See, look at this. I'm going to read this for the family. Islam, Brother Tahaka. Let's set up a show challenging the teachings of the 5%ers. See? What does that anything? I wrote a book called 360 Questions to Ask a 5%er, which no one ever responded. Gonna call you in a little while. Like, these are 3-year-olds.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? When I first had my discussion with Brother Tahaka, that was offline, we was talking, he asked me what I believe. And I said, bro, I got videos of me teaching in the school. What you're going to hear me say is not what you're going to hear what a bunch of people say. I don't believe in Yaku. I don't believe in no tribe of Shabazz. I don't believe in none of that. I understand where it came from.
So now, you see, this is what happens, though. We're now in
hold on. Now we into the doctrine. I even called Lord Abba. I called you personally so I could say, yo, bro, let's build so we can make understanding understood, because when you go back and forth and type the messages, it causes a problem. Dude don't want to talk. So now you want to come on chats, you want to make videos and throw my name in it, plaster it, You an idiot. You stupid. You not a scholar. I'm a scholar. I'm published here. I'm published. Nobody asked you none of that. If you got a problem with the information, come just build and add on, and then we go through it. So Harker came on here. We gave him the respect, gave him the floor, and now understanding is understood. Here you all come over here talking, let's challenge the 5%. Let's challenge this. You talking to the wrong person, bro.
One thing I'm going to say is this, though, and I'm not a 5%er, but I'll say this. Show me another organization outside of the AME Church in Philadelphia, which has had theirs since the 1700s. Show me another organization that has their properties for 1 century.
Facts.
Because you can say what you want. Since Clarence did that and made that deal with Lindsay, they have a century. As Harlem is gentrifying around them, the Nation of God and Earth still have their building, and they have it for 99 years. So say what you want. So with that said, we're gonna let it go. Like, Alan, maybe you need to come on and do the history of the 5%, like I've been telling you for 2 years now. You see, now you see why, and then we can build from there, because actually that's something that people may be curious about. Their exposure for Wu-Tang Clan and Rakim, and maybe you can go and show the culture that brings forth a Wu-Tang Clan mentality or a Rakim mentality or whatever it is that, you know, is an essential part to our culture. So we can't deny the 5% influence. It may be something that maybe it'd be fun to take a look at, and then examine the doctrine if people want to get into it, and maybe things can be explained, and those that can't, you may need to put to the side. But that's for another show. But what we are going to do around here and within this community that we're going to up the scholarship and the discourse and get it out the daggone gutter, and agree to disagree sometime and move on, and not, you know, debase it by just acting like children. So my op-ed is done. I do hope that you have learned at least one thing that you did not know before you came to join the random Negroes on the internet. And after this show, you better say, hell yeah, I learned something I didn't know before, because you ain't never seen that before. But with that said, I want to say to everybody, Pete.
Yeah, and then before we end it, you asking me to come debate you.
Okay. What we ain't gonna do? He's being a child. To Harker.
I know. No. We gonna end it like.
We can't hear you, brother.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, go ahead now.
Yeah, all you gotta do is look on my channel, on our channel. Look at Rob Born Builds with the Gods on the Abrahamic faiths in the school, and when you see what I'm teaching in that school, then you come back and talk to me. I'm not accepting no debate to talk to you about anything. You the one that makes side videos. You the one that be calling people this. What we do in MBK, we present the information and lay the case out. And then if we happen to be talking about anybody, anytime, we put the link in the chat so that you can come in a respectful manner and build. This little child stuff you're doing, you're not a scholar, you lame, I did this, I did that. Dude, after what Ali Muhammad did to you, I don't even know why you talking still. I don't even know why you around. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, bro. I'm ignoring you. Your chance to come talk to me is right now. If you don't want to do that, we done here.
All right. So with that said, I do hope that people have gained some valuable information outside of the Thomas Drew stuff. Just maybe we provided some clarity on what's going on in Chicago or what's going on in the Black community that could create or bring forth a Noble Drew Ali and his platform and what he tried to do. That was another point as well. So you could just understand the days and times, because now, thankfully, we're pushing the needle up forward and we're talking about things in the 20th century. At least we're not in 20th century BC anymore. We're now in the 20th century talking about things, and hopefully we can continue to push it forward to see what we're doing in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and what have you, to eventually circle back to the point that Consul said when he first came in here to discuss where we are today and what's going on with the people today. And then hopefully we'll have enough information behind us to see what could create these type of individuals like a Dr. York or whomever that may be around in these days. But that's for another show. That's for another L. And that's for another day. Please like the video and share. And this guy, yeah, I didn't think Lord Abel was such a like child, man. But anyway.
He's not listening, but he's texting.
Right. Anyway, like I said, Consul, you're welcome back to Harbor Bay. We're talking about something that you have some affinity with. You're welcome back. Even this nutso in the chat is welcome. Whoever wants to have a discourse and about the topics that we discuss, and you have some information that you want to add or share, everyone is welcome. And just remember the motto is each one teach one. And thank you for joining us. Peace.